All right, everyone. We are here. It's Arsenal Fan Circle. It is the
Well,
Thursday
three
night
of us are
forum.
here.
Well, I can't see you, Tony.
You can't see me?
Gary, Gary, and I are here. I don't know about you. Um,
Yeah, all I see is it's just dark. Turn the lights on, please.
I don't know how you can't see me.
Well, because we can't. You don't have your camera on. That's how
put
that works.
put 50 pence in the meter. When I was playing snooker back in Ireland, you had to put some money in for the lights, Tony. That's how it works around here.
Oh, we lost him. All right, let's get on with the show quick before he comes back.
Yeah. Hey, Stan, he is back. So
Hello.
listen, introductions, right? This is a little bit more laid back. It's the Thursday night forum. Thanks everybody for joining us live. We got 5 people in the chat right now. We got 5 people here. Well, 4 plus the black screen. Anyway,
You still can't see me?
Nope.
Good.
Can't you see yourself? Can't you see what we see?
I see myself.
Oh,
That's good. That's good enough.
well,
Yeah.
there you go. We just got this.
sometimes
blank
life
screen,
gives you hints and you have to take them, Tony. Go dark, go dark. So up top we got Stan joining us. Thanks, Stan.
Good evening, everyone.
I'm glad that you were able to join us tonight, Stan.
Yeah,
And yep. Alonzo, good to see you here, Alonzo.
Hello, Ray. Hello, Gary. Hello, Tony. Hello, Ray.
Hello.
Hello, Stan.
Gary, the flight took off on time, just about, right?
Look at that. We did. The doors closed and everything, and we're in the air when they said we were going to be in the air.
Gary,
Sometimes it works out.
You make me nervous every night, every Thursday, every Sunday, when it comes to starting on time. But here we are.
You know, it's promising, and when I wake up in the morning and I look and I see
You don't have to be
that the
anal like
show's been started.
Gary and be on time all the time, right? Life
And,
happens.
Yeah, and Tony gives us whatever he's given us right now, which is you never know. For a
dark,
box of chocolates today, it's just a blank screen.
darkness. BX Gunner, things are going to slow down a little bit. It's the summer. We have to take our time. Arsenal are going to take their time as well. So, yeah, this can be a little bit more laid back tonight. I do see Tony in the green room, and he's wearing a nice white top. I think it's white anyway, so I'll bring him in now. BX Gunner said, just ordered McDonald's because the in-flight food is terrible. Hopefully,
You know what? We ate all the good food. Sorry.
You're colorblind, Ray. It's pink.
Oh, look at Tony. He's all dressed up. Where are you going? Where are you going tonight? You clubbing?
all dressed up with nowhere to go except here on the Thursday night forum.
So he's going to do the two-step.
The YouTube Tuesday.
Steve Denham's here. Hi, guys. And Steve, I promise I will not goad you into getting out of your bed at 3 o'clock in the morning.
That was the best part of the show last week.
Yeah, and we'll find something new in this show, Tony. Tony, welcome. I didn't get to say hi to you.
And you couldn't see me for whatever reason.
And we are live. Evening, everyone. Stephen, good to see you as well. The Arsenal Misfit is here.
Because
Tony,
Ray didn't do pre-flight checks. You just sent us the link and off we went.
vampires have no reflections. Yeah, Gary was saying he likes to see the link early in the morning, but you didn't actually get the StreamYard link until the last second.
Well, I saw the like I said, I saw the YouTube thing had been created, so that's always a plus. That means you're moving, you're doing some good things. I like to see that.
Wheels are in motion. The wheels are in motion. So yeah, definitely we're going to talk about the wheels in motion for the summer window coming up. The transfer window opens tomorrow morning, and we'll talk about that. But I thought we'd start off talking about improvement and what we might want to see from Arsenal. And of course, we'll talk about the big movements happening with Manchester City and Liverpool. The big one is Darwin Núñez. And Stan, you were probably one of the first people to talk about Darwin Núñez possibly going to Liverpool. Liverpool feel like it's all done and dusted, but we'll get into that one as well. But any quick observations about that, Stan?
Well, had somebody made a decisive move in the last window, whoever had made that move would have got him remarkably cheaper than what they're going to get him for now.
Yeah.
They probably could have got him for maybe around 50 million euros or so in the last window. And now it's probably going to cost 70 or 80, somewhere maybe somewhere around that. Maybe 70 with add-ons or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think it was only a matter of time with the kind of numbers that he was putting up that he was going to get snapped up from Benfica. So yet another one that's kind of slipped through our fingers. I kind of remember when we were in this position talking about Edouard. Remember Edouard who went to Crystal Palace, and we thought that there might be an opportunity that he'd come to us, and he slipped through our fingers. So it's going to be interesting to see how he actually pans out over at United, right? Where I think he's going to. Is it United? No, or Liverpool.
Liverpool.
Well, yeah, it's going to pan out very well then, isn't it? It's difficult not to.
Difficult not to, and I think we'll get into it. We might all have a few different takes on the Darwin Núñez, and Haaland is in the door as well. Alonso, good to see you.
Likewise.
So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Liverpool, the City, but we're going to get into Arsenal. And one thing I wanted to ask today is room for improvement, right? Arsenal improved from last season, 61 points. We got 69, an extra 8 points. Improvement, a little bit of improvement. We need to improve again this coming window. I think we'll start off with, who do you feel, Alonso, would be your 3 players that you would want to see improve from last season?
For me, Gabriel Magalhaes. I think that his awareness is lacking a little bit there at the back, especially under pressure, and he does some odd things to get himself in trouble a lot of the time. So maybe Gabriel, and I think also Ramsdale. I think that his ball control or his ball awareness as well needs improving, especially timing. Knowing that the back four still have issues communicating, it seems like. I think that he could also use some improvement. Though I think he's on a upper echelon of goalkeepers that we've had in the past. So he's on his way, I think. And also, Emil's role needs some improvement as well. Being more consistent and not being more of a striker, or more shooting the ball less, and become more of a playmaker, like getting more assists. So yeah, those are my 3 players I think should be improved on.
Okay, Gabriel Magalhaes, I thought he had a pretty good season, but definitely going to need him to step up and be the leader at the back. Aaron Ramsdale had, very consistent season, but tailed off at the end. We want to see that a year from now. Ramsdale becoming more confident and inspiring confidence from the back as well. And the third one, remind me again, what was the third one?
Emil Smith-Rowe. I think that he could be more of a contribution, more so. He's aiming to shoot a lot and not being more of a playmaker, like getting more assists. So yeah, being more constant, like Mikel Saka is, and fighting more for the ball, and just being more of an impact than he can be.
Yeah.
And fight for his position, I guess.
Yeah. So has anyone got any comments on the 3 that Alonso has picked? And then we'll go around.
There's probably some overlap. So.
Yeah. All right. What are your 3 candidates, Gary?
Yeah. Well, one which does it have to be a player?
No, it doesn't have to be a player. I know you're going to mention.
Hold on a minute, Gary. How can Gunnosaurus improve? What are you going to say here?
Yeah, Gunnosaurus. Come on.
I need a lot more energy. The man is coming out flat. He's coming out flat. He needs a little bit more juice to us. When he brings fire to the game, he's just not bringing it. He's not bringing it. I don't know what he needs, but maybe do some weights before he comes out or something. But yeah,
I'll take him to a gym with me.
Yeah, there you go. No, the reason why I asked if does it have to be a player is because I think one thing that has to improve is our physio, our trainers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's going to be even longer. It's going to be an even tougher season now. and we're going to have to depend on the same players we did last year to some degree. And they're going to be able. They're going to go out. Definitely going to go out. But when they come back, they're going to need to be ready to go.
Thinking about that, Gary, we have to find 2 more because 2 of them left.
Yeah. Well, maybe hopefully that's all for the best. That's maybe that's because we need to get better at that. So yeah, I mean I was going to put players in there, but I think one was ESR that Lonzo picked up, but 2 players that I'm going to go with are Martinelli. I'm expecting him to improve. He needs to improve his scoring, and what he scored once in the last 17 games he played. So I don't think that's good at all.
No.
So yeah, he needs to work on that. Some of that means, to some degree, if he didn't score, then at least he needs to be setting people up to score. So he needs to be either making the pass before the pass or the pass that leads to a goal. So I'm hoping that he works on that stuff.
Hey, Gary, sorry, I have a question for you, Gary. Sorry. Do you think the left side of the pitch needs working on as far as contributing more on assists and goals? You put in Martinelli as far as shooting more, but he's gotten a lot of assists. As far as ESR, he gets a lot of goals but not enough assists.
Well, I have a feeling I'm expecting them all to improve somewhat. I mean, even for example, if Saka didn't improve, I wouldn't be too. If we got similar numbers, I would be happy with that.
Yeah.
But the other 2, I think, definitely need to improve, especially Martinelli, for the amount of pressure he puts on the back line. We need to see something more come out of that, right? So that's what you're saying. He needs to either look for you guys. I always say you guys are always going after him, saying, "Hey, he looks like a chicken without his head," attacking the back line, and absolutely nothing comes out of it. I think that might change if he has somebody up there with him at the time. So we'll see. It didn't happen as much as I thought it would with Nketiah there, the way he was moving, but we'll see how it goes as we, if we get better there. The other person that I had as well was Ramsdale.
Interesting.
He started out strong, and like you said, he did fall off. And for me, part of it is the leadership on the field. I think we lost that. Yes, he gets into it with the fans and whatnot, but that even died down as the season came to an end, and that's when sometimes when a player is in the game, right? Because they're talking, they're chatting, right? He stopped doing that, and I kind of felt like that kind of epitomized kind of how he played. He got scored on multiple times on the near post, so I'm assuming hopefully they're going to work on that. A lot of the goals is where he's inches away from putting a fingertip on it and pushing it out.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like there's little things he needs to work on. But yeah, so that's what you're going to see. For me, anyways, that's what I noticed is that the less he talks, the less he's into the game in terms of mentally sometimes. So yeah, those are my 3. I think the trainer, Martinelli, and Ramsdale.
Can I say, when you said, does it have to be a player? I was thinking you were going to talk about Arteta, but you went for the trainer.
As much as I go after him, it's more because I think, we're all going to say it. He's just not. It's not the right job at this time for him. That's it. Yeah. But if they're going to go with him, then everything else has to be run really well around him. You know what I mean? So.
Steven said, the person I want to improve the most is Arteta. No more not learning from his mistakes, figure out what a plan B is. Game management is his weakness, and it has cost us Champions League twice now. And no more going back to, dare I say, Granit Xhaka left back. But I'm not just saying that as I'm coming to you, Tony. But interesting that Gary and Alonso have said Ramsdale. So I'm very interested to see what Tony and Stan have, who their 3 players are. So I'll go to Tony first. Tony, who's your 3 players or non-playing staff? It can be as well if you want to have improvements on.
For me, I'm going to go back to where Alonso started. I think Gabriel and Ramsdale were having great seasons. And Tierney goes out, and for whatever reason, the communication was never there after that. I don't know why it broke down like it did, but the whole back four and goalkeeper went down. Like I said, Ramsdale very early in the season had 14 clean sheets. In the last 11 games in a row, no clean sheets.
Yeah.
So I think he was excellent to start the year off. I don't think he was fatigued or anything. It's just communication. They got to figure that out, but I don't think they really need to improve. The quality's there. Just get the communication down and move on. But for
Tony
me,
said bingo after the show. Sorry, Tony. Go ahead.
but for me, it started all midfielder attacking players. For me, it's probably a surprise to a lot of people because he came in second as the player of the season. But for me, Odegaard had a very slow start to the season. Didn't do much until probably November. Then he gets COVID, didn't do much to the end of the season. I think he needs to improve. Smith Rowe needs to improve.
Yeah.
He can't go at it for even before he had COVID. He couldn't give you much more than 60 minutes. I don't know what that's all about. But he's one of the most accurate players in the Premier League. At one point, he was the most accurate striker in the league. Not quite sure where he finished at on that, but anytime you had a chance, he'd finish. We definitely need a striker like that. And I'll probably go with, I was going to go with somebody else, but I'll go with Gary as Martinelli needs to improve.
Mm-hmm.
His passing isn't there. He just runs either straight towards the goal and tries to shoot it, or he just goes up that left flank. He doesn't look for his players. He needs to learn what a through ball is. He needs to get better at crossing. There's lots of things he could improve on. And he wasn't part of a team's plan. He played the first 3 games because of COVID, and you didn't see him until December when Aubameyang got shit canned. I don't think Arteta really fancies him that much. That's why he wasn't developed or worked on him much. So hopefully he develops because we're going to need him for both the league and Europa. And I'll go with what Steven said. Arteta needs to learn a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that goes a lot of the people in the board and executive. I do need to learn more. We're still lacking 2 board members. We're lacking a proper director of football. But for me, those are the 3 players.
Yeah, very, very interesting. We're getting like an overlap of Ramsdale, of course, Martinelli, and maybe Gabriel Magalhaes, another one of those in there. Stan, what have you got?
The first one that I'm going to go with is Mesut Ozil. And no, I'm joking.
I was going to say yeah.
The first ones that I'm going to go to, they come as a pair, really. It's both of our number 1 starting fullbacks in Kieran Tierney and Tomiyasu. And when I say improvement, it's not so much to what they're doing on the pitch. It's probably they need to somehow improve on their health, their fitness. They need to be available. That needs to improve. So the amount of games that they're available for the season needs to improve, because as good as they are, they're no good to us if they're on the treatment table.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't help us at all. So I think that's an area that I would really like to see improve. I'd like to see those players being able to play more games throughout the season. The last one, if for me, would be Eddie Nketiah, because his contract's now been improved. Therefore, if the player was considered as improving last season, that's just finished, then I want to continue to see him improve next season and look like someone that should have been rewarded with that contract. Because, as I said in a chat box on Sunday show, and everyone was going, nah, that's not right. He's on the same money as Sadio Mane. He's on Sadio Mane money.
Thereabouts, yeah.
So whether you want to argue and say, well, Sadio Mane is being underpaid or whatever, but that's where he is, really, if you know what I mean. So I want to see him improve on his output and look like a player that's well deserving of that.
Or even looking at us, you got Saka on 40 grand, and here's Eddie on 100K. It's just
Yeah, but that's a different story, right? Saka doesn't want to sign a new one. We can talk about that later, I suppose.
Yeah. The situation is Eddie is, he's waited out for that 100,000.
Has he signed it yet? Has it all been agreed, or was it still not sealed?
Not signed yet.
Okay.
Okay, not signed yet. And then Sadio Mane, yeah, he might have been on 100 plus. A little bit. They're pretty close, Dan, but Mane wanted to be recognized maybe in the same way Salah has been recognized, and now he's looking at this new project wherever he may go. Bayern Munich probably being the one that he's going to go to, and of course they're going to upgrade to Darwin Núñez, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Darwin Núñez. I know he said Darwin Núñez. Tony, the injuries was the major reason that clean sheets dried up. It exposed White and caused Gabriel to overcommit at times, and clubs took us to the thing. That's a great point in terms of what we need to do. A lot of you have mentioned.
Is that your great point, Chime?
A lot of you have mentioned the players need to improve by just being able to be on the field a little bit more. So injuries definitely is something we're going to have to be wary of. Balogun's on 40 a week, says Stephen. And we have to be careful of Saka. I mean, Tony, you've been talking about Bukayo Saka all last season. He's going to wear down and have a major injury. The amount of football that these players are still playing now, and international football as well, is outrageous.
It made no sense because he went with the long Euros. He was barely back in the camp. Then he's right back out on the pitch. Then he played over 3,000 minutes, played every Premier League match. Then he went and pretty much played every cup game, which he shouldn't have been doing at all. Should have been playing every Premier League game. You got Smith Rowe, you got Pepe. We figured Pepe would be part of the plans, but he wasn't. But there's other players you could have put out there besides Saka, and just risking burnout, you're risking pissing him off, knowing that he can get a big contract somewhere else, be competing for Champions League. And if we don't get there this season, he's definitely gone. He might be gone this summer.
As you said to the Arsenal Misfit, Gabriel had a wing back as his backup partner on the left. The injury shouldn't have exposed Ramsdale as much as it did. And, this is one of the players that I'm targeted for improvement. Got to see it from Nuno Tavares this coming season if he is indeed playing at the club, if he's not loaned out. I think he'll be at the club. I think he'll be understudy to Kieran Tierney. And I think we're going to see some improvement from him, and defensively especially. We know what we can get from Tavares going forward. The other one, as you mentioned, some of you have mentioned, is Gabriel Martinelli. I thought he picked it up a little bit toward the end of the season, getting a couple of assists against West Ham, against Leeds, I think it was, and then scoring, the goal, the penalty at the end of the season, which definitely helped pad his stats a little bit. The third one I'll agree with Stan on is Kieran Tierney. Not so much improvement in the way he plays, but improvement in terms of him being on the pitch for more than 20 games, We need
he could be there if we moved to a back three and used him as a left center back.
Yeah, but injuries, right? It doesn't matter what the formation is going to be. If he wears down,
you're not going to be running as much as a center back.
He's only played 30 games once in his career.
Are you going to be running as much as a center back, Ray?
So I don't. I mean, what more can you do? I mean, I just.
Tony, that's like saying we get more out of him if we put him in goal.
Fly goalie.
I mean,
we use him more as a wing back than we do a fullback when we just be concentrating on defense.
Gary?
No, I was going to say it only works. The wing back doesn't work the way we play, right? Totally different formation.
If you play three at the back and you use wing backs, then you're losing maybe Ødegaard as your central attacking midfielder. Something has to shift, right?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Arteta doesn't seem to want to go three at the back, even when it's warranted. I mean, you have no depth and you still want to go a certain way. It just doesn't work. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, that's why I put the trainer as one of my three, because Partey was also out and in and out for a bit. So whoever is in charge of getting the players healthy and ready to play needs to be able to do that, especially for those three players that we lost this year. And like you said, if Saka continues the way he's going, he's going to need somebody there keeping him going, or else he'll be out as well.
Yeah, he's going to wear down, and I think we were quite lucky. Like we did have injuries, right, but we didn't have any long-term injuries.
I'm sure Thomas Partey, when he came to us, came with a very good injury record, as in very rarely does get injured.
I think it was 3 in like 5 years or something ridiculous like that.
But the thing is, with Tierney and Partey, they were both injured when we bought them.
I just always remember that vision of him being pushed back onto the pitch by Mikel Arteta. I was like, "Where the fuck are you going?"
The two things there is a rookie manager who looks like a rookie pushing the player on, a senior player back, and a senior player who seems to have had the injury hex over himself at Arsenal.
I always say, if that was Simeone, would he have run off the pitch? Would he have done that with his former club? Yeah, I have no doubt he would never have done that.
Yeah, that's part of it. That's part of the whole thing there. Too, because he had multiple muscle injuries. That's what pretty much all the injuries were muscle injuries.
BX Gunner said it's time to dump injury-prone deadweights as soon as possible. Sad to say, but sell Tierney and Partey now. Alonso, these are two players that if they don't put a good season together, if they don't get sold this summer, they'll likely get sold next summer.
And it's unfortunate because those are the ones that would help our defense. I remember Kieran Tierney came in with so much hype coming from Celtic. And I see him play it whenever he was at Celtic. And he was quite a player when healthy. And I have a friend of mine who is a big Celtic supporter, and he always tell me, Tierney would fit perfect with Arsenal, but then don't worry, don't get your hopes up because he'll get hurt. And sure enough, he got hurt when we got him. So, same thing with Gabriel. With Hardy. It's like he came on with so much hype, comparing it to Vieira and becoming a backbone, the spine of Arsenal of old, and then he gets hurt. And it's like, it's unfortunate, but once you get injured at Arsenal, your career is basically done.
Yeah.
Right? It's because there's give us over the hump, right? And so they just been hurt all the time, it seems like. And like I said, it had so much potential to become a good players here for a long time, and then they're not good for us if they're on the injury table all the time. So, might as well get their profit now. We still can, I guess.
Yeah, right now I would sell Kieran Tierney, as I think we mentioned last week. If we get a good bid from the Newcastle or something like that, I would sell him for upwards of 40 or 50 million.
Yeah. Too bad Barcelona wouldn't still want to pay that 15 million that they were kicking around for paying.
But here's the thing, though, right? If we're considering selling Kieran Tierney because of his injury record, then I don't see who looking in is going to go, let's go and buy Kieran Tierney. Like they don't know nothing about his injury record, and they're going to give us 50 million. I don't see how anyone would be clamoring to do that. If anything, he's decreasing his value, and we may be stuck with him for the term of his contract.
I think he had this injury record when we bought him, Stan. So I think some team would take a calculated gamble. We've taken a calculated gamble.
I felt that when we bought him, that the injury record was played down a lot. Yeah. Oh, it's nothing serious. It's a muscular injury. That's not. It was really kind of played down. Because I remember thinking, is this guy injury prone or what? And I can remember some quarters were obviously it was probably the selling party that were playing it down like you would. You know what I mean? So you can get the best deal possible. But I'm all for sort of like saying it's a make or break season this season for me for Kieran Tierney. Yeah. And it's got nothing to do with how he conducts himself on the pitch. It's just that he's never there when we need him.
He's
Yeah,
got to hit into the high 20s, 30s, right, Gary?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say
Yeah, 25, right?
we can't create any more rules than we already got. That's so selling Partey and selling Tyranny just creates more holes, even
Yeah.
though the holes that
Yeah.
they're filling have some gaps in them. That's why it's good that that's why it's important that we get our depth. And if the depth, replaces them, so be it. I don't think we're gonna find somebody at the Partey level just yet, but I think we could find somebody definitely, that could replace Tyranny if we were to go out and look for someone. But yeah, at this point we need to fill the holes we had yesterday and not fill the holes that we're gonna have tomorrow when we let these players go. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Definitely.
can't be creating new holes at this point. And like somebody said, if they come in and we have they're gonna have to play, right? So they're gonna play, and there's gonna be enough rotation. Hopefully that they have enough camera time, video, that people can look at and say, look, they're okay. They're just not gonna get enough time with Arsenal, and then we can sell them for a decent amount.
And what brings Tierney and Partey into focus, right, is the fact that we haven't had that depth to cover. If they're out injured, that's fine. But if we have cover that's going to give us the same results as if they would be in the team, then that's going to be more acceptable. What's been the issue is we can look back at Kieran Tierney and Partey this past season, and we've got points because they haven't been able to be in the team. All right. That Nketiah contract is a disaster. It's past happening all over again. That kind of money based on 8 games is just plain mismanagement. And that's another area for improvement that Eddie's got to step up now and show that he's stepping up to this level where he's being paid that amount of money.
Yeah.
I still want to know where is he now in the pecking order, because previously I would say that out of 4 strikers that we had, he was third. Balogun behind him, in front of him, Lacazette, Aubameyang. So with this, is this a contract to keep him in that position? Are we getting 2 more strikers in to replace the 2 that have gone? Or are we only bringing in 1 striker, which really worries me? We bring in 1 striker, we've got Eddie. Balogun, what is he? Balogun's miraculously coming back off loan and is going to be ready. Maybe there's another loan there for Balogun. So
we gotta get another one in.
Are we buying someone that's going to come behind Eddie and between Balogun? Do you know what I mean? Has Eddie been elevated to what in the top tier now, and we're getting someone that's going to come in between him and Balogun? But I do think whatever happens, we need 2 strikers.
Probably some young Brazilian kid.
Especially if we're going.
Yeah, we don't. That doesn't help us. That doesn't help us anymore. So what's the point of doing that? We need if we're talking about bringing in 2 strikers, they need to be 2 strikers that sit Eddie on the bench, or else there's no point.
Yeah.
If you're not going to sit Eddie on the bench, then you might as well just.
I agree with
you. You might as well fill holes all around, right, and get more wingers and attacking players and fix the midfield then, and make sure the only problem you have is that you just don't have depth up top. Right? Because right now I don't feel like we have the midfield that we want, and we don't have a striker that we want. So if we can't get 2 strikers, at least make sure that midfield is set, right? And we've got 3 players we can rotate around, because right now I feel like we only have 1. I don't know what you guys feel, but I think we got 1. We got Partey if he's healthy, and then after that, we're basically just scrambling to fill spots.
Yeah, and this is why Tielemans, Zinchenko, or who's the other one? Bissouma is the latest one, right?
Bissouma, we're finally being linked with him again.
Yeah, and that's
why.
I
think it sounds like this the whole thing.
Julian Draxler.
Yeah, it's like that. Well, but I mean, it's Julian Draxler, but he actually does what.
I'm glad those Murata rumors have died down, Stan.
He could be the new one. But let's answer.
Can I ask a question? Just as we were talking about strikers, is there anyone here that feels that if we only signed 1 striker, let's say we just signed Gabriel Jesus, are we covered? Would we be covered? If that means we'd have him, Nketiah, and Balogun. Is there anyone you think that covers us for full competition?
Not at all.
So,
and even if you move Martinelli into a striker, it still just isn't enough.
So if we start the season, then if only bringing in 1, we've been shortchanged, didn't we? They've let 2 go out and only brought 1 in.
Yes.
Yeah.
The minimum requirement is to replace, right?
That's the
gonna
problem. We
play.
haven't been replacing these guys for 2 years now.
Oh, we'll
Well,
get through.
that's why I'm saying we have to do it by committee, and the committee means everything behind that striker, right? On the outside of that striker, that's the only way. It doesn't matter if we bring in one or two strikers. Or should I say, if we don't bring in two strikers, is that we've got depth. We don't have to play Saka 38 games, right? Martinelli has a little dip in form. We got a replacement there. You know, Milstrafro maybe can cover for Erdegaard, and then he can, if that's where they want him to go, and that's where he's going to be best suited. There you go. So I think it's two strikers or depth at the wings for me.
Two strikers. And listen, what Liverpool are doing with Darwin Nunez, is where it's the result of years of careful building of that squad, and they've built up their squad to now have a great strike force in Mane, who's probably leaving.
Salah is leaving too. I think they're
Salah.
both gone.
Jota and Diaz, right? And so Mane leaves. They're going to get a certain amount of money now. They're going to have to pay some money on top of this to get Darwin Nunez. But being successful with your playing staff and having good players will generate funds for you to be able to improve your squad.
I think they're definitely bringing in two attackers.
It's on Liverpool now, Tony, to keep doing all the right things and selecting the right players. Darwin Nunez is going to come for a lot of money, and he's going to have to score goals. There's nothing that says he won't score goals in the Premier League. But
if you sell Salah and Mane and bring in another one, you're not going to be out that much money.
You think Salah's gone? I don't think Salah's gone.
I think he's gone.
Salah.
Yep.
Mohamed Salah.
Have you looked at his age, Gary?
I don't think he's gone now.
This is another question that I wanted to bring as well.
They're linked to lots and lots of attackers.
What, Salah? Mo Salah?
Mo Salah.
He's playing a game, isn't he? He's basically come out and said, I'm definitely going to be a Liverpool player next season, knowing that next season means that after that he leaves on a free. And I think it's become a fashion that footballers seem to be embracing this thing now, of running the contract down, walking away and getting a truck full of money poured onto their front lawn for the privilege of it.
I think that's why Liverpool's linked with so many strikers and wingers, because they plan on replacing the two.
But it's really become a fashion, hasn't it? I mean, how many? Someone get a calculator out. How much have we just let walk out of our door, of Arsenal's door? I mean, we are Terminate Contract FC.
I think we're over 300 mil of money we've not recouped over the last 10 years or something like that. So
terrible investments,
There's only two players we've made a profit on since 2012.
Serge Gnabry is another one at the moment. Obviously, we want him, but he's not up for signing a contract where he is at the moment, which means then, we could maybe either get him on the cheap, or if he hung it right out, he could go for nothing and get a lovely payday for it.
Yeah.
And we've made the money available. We've shifted a lot of our salary. We have a lot in the pot. But then does that unsettle other people?
Mm-hmm. Stephen said Balogun isn't ready. He needs a loan. I think I would generally agree with that as well. Balogun does need a loan. Careful.
And see right there, that right there is where you are tying your resources to a player you can't play. Right? I mean,
how old is he now, the lad?
Arsenal is not in a position to be loaning out players for the future.
Yeah.
They don't really have the bandwidth to do it. Because right now we're sitting here talking about strikers. We got a striker earning as much money as a player of the year. We aren't playing him. Think about it.
Yeah.
The player of the year makes as much as a striker we don't expect to play this year. It's a waste of resources. It's really what he deserved the money because Arsenal screwed up on his contract and not letting him go, whatever the case may be. But at some point, you're going to have that can't happen anymore. You can't have players making as much as some of your top young talent, and you got to put them out on loan anyways, right? That's a lot of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the team he's going to isn't paying that full amount, right? I don't know if they pay that salary. I don't think they do, right? don't know how that thing all works, but if he's making whatever 40,
Well,
are they
on
paying the whole-
FIFA, it's usually a 40-60 split, isn't it? On
Oh, is that
FIFA.
how it works
I
out?
don't know
Yeah.
how that has real life, but
No, I'm just saying. I can't see anybody like it's almost like having Eddie sitting third and going, we might as well just loan him out now, right? It's like, what? It's just a lot. For me, it's resources we can't afford to just waste, and we're wasting it again. Even though the future might be bright, the future might be bright, but it might not be for Arteta because he will have failed by then. Or they're going to let him walk anyways, because then he's going to say, "Why do I want to stay in this mess?"
well, look at this for an example. Chelsea paid 100 million for Romelu Lukaku to bring him back. It seems now that he may be going back to Inter on loan. They're not going to pay a transfer fee and just help out with the salary. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, Inter can't believe their luck. They're getting a player back that's very successful for them, and they've just got to shout out for some of his wages.
That's a slap in the face to the Premier League. All this money, the top, the top league in the world, lots of money is there for the taking by the players. All these clubs outside are like, I'm not going to spend that much money.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, think about it. Why, was it Benfica is like, nah. Not Benfica, Betis is like, nah, we're not going to pay. We don't want to pay for
Bellerin.
For Bellerin.
Yeah.
Why don't you just go ahead and rip up his contract? What?
Yeah.
Like the fact, I don't know how real it is, but the fact that actually comes out is just like, see, and that's how they're
And
able to stay
didn't they
in
just spend
business,
some
right?
money and buy someone as well? Haven't they
Yeah.
recently just laid money out and then they're going,
Yep. Yeah, they
like-
spent 12 to 14 million for a player recently as well. And
Where's
then-
It's like when you lend your mate a tenner and he says, I'll give it back to you on payday, and payday comes around. He's not got the money, but he's got a brand new leather jacket on, and you're like,
There you
"What
go.
the fuck?"
Sorry, dude, I don't have it, man.
yeah.
It still
Yeah.
has the tags on it and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, now think about it. Like, where did Vlahovic come from?
Fiorentina,
Fiorentina.
Yeah, right.
and he went to
So
Juventus.
they got 70 mil,
Juventus.
right? And they don't want to pay for Torreira. How can you not afford a player you say is?
They just got the money in January, right, Gary? Right?
Yeah, their heating bill, their heating bill was really high over the winter. There was unexpectables. They had to get a new wheel for the car. Things happened.
So this is what I'm saying. They're as the man used to say, man, they see us coming, right? And this is Premier League teams all around, right? All around. I mean, people, Lukaku is what made money twice for foreign teams, right? And Tammy Abraham, they're talking about somebody going out and spending extra for him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just
This
is no different than like what we're doing, but this is the league is doing it as well as a
Yeah, and we're doing it with another player.
Another thing I don't understand is, I mean, could we shout any louder that we're interested in Gabriel Jesus and Tielemans? I mean, we may as well just fucking fly an airplane with it right in the sky in smoke. I mean, we're not being very shrewd about this at all. Keep it down a little bit, get the deal done, and just move on.
Yeah.
Supposedly that's supposed to all happen next week, right? If it's going to happen, and there's more teams invested and interested in Gabriel.
Hey,
I mean, it should happen tomorrow, but that's if we were really doing supposedly we had a plan we had a plan in January. Hopefully that plan in January means by tomorrow evening, this same time, we're laughing because we've got two of the players that they wanted. All right, that's what a plan. If you got 6 months to plan, it should be done day one, so you can move on to your next issue. All right. I also, what else you move on, right? You sign with us tomorrow, or you're gone. Because why waste? We can't waste anymore. We've spent like the last month talking about Gabriel, right?
We're probably going to have to end up giving him one of them fucking Mbappe deals where we allow him to control the whole club and give him shares in the club and decide on managers and everything.
He gets his name on the back of the shirt, and I don't mean just where his name goes. It's just like says Jesus on there.
The sponsorship is now his name. Everyone's got it.
So
everybody gets a GJ on their side of their show on the sleeve.
Gabriel
These are Rwandans.
Arsenal are only going to sign one striker. Arsenal should have been in for Nunes. Absolute silence from Arsenal. Do you think that Jesus is a solution to Arsenal's attacking
Nunes
problem?
is not in our price range, and it's just a
No.
waste of. So another waste of
Fine.
we can't spend that much on players.
We could
We
have
spent
spent it
50
last
on
year.
we spent 50 on our last two big players, and nobody thinks they're worth it. We're gonna go out and spend 70 on
Yeah.
and we're not gonna be
Um,
able to support them, right?
I'm not really a fan of Richarlison either. I don't think his temperament is good for the dressing room and the unity.
Not enough numbers.
Not
I-
enough numbers.
I
I think he
don't.
could improve his numbers with us though.
I don't think that Gabriel Jesus is the answer to our attacking situation, but he would be very useful to help it. Just for the fact that, I mean, even if you look at it, some people say his numbers are good, some people criticize his numbers. I think his numbers are good because a lot of that has come out from wide as well. You know, he doesn't always start through the middle at Manchester City, and he's still able to make hefty contributions. And he plays in all the big games for Man City. Pep picks him for all of the big games. You only have to look back at the end of the season, look at all of the big games. He's in the starting lineup. He's reliable. I think what he would bring is that little bit of experience that I've said that we've lacked. He's been in and around winners. He's won things. I think he'd be a great influence. I don't think he's the answer. I would like to see Gabriel Jesus come in with somebody else. They could even play in the same team. You could have that somebody else playing through the middle, and Gabriel Jesus could be on the flank in some games. It doesn't mean that he sits on the bench if the other guy is playing. He's a bit of a Swiss Army knife, Jesus, and he's very good at it.
When
And
Rangers first
I
started,
agree,
I thought we were
he
playing
is-
at the winger.
He's an upgraded Lacazette. Tony,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm saying when we first heard about Jesus rumors, I thought we weren't going to get him as a striker. We were looking at him as a winger, but now it seems like he's our top striking choice, which I don't think he should be. The better players out there.
Yeah, but what players are we talking about? We keep saying they're better players out there. Ones we can't afford?
We can afford it.
Who?
If we got 180 million pounds, we can afford it, Gary.
That's fun. Interesting you say that.
Name-
We've got 18 million in cash. That's what we got.
Victor Osimhen.
So
we got names, Tony, and don't
18
say
million cash right
Martinez.
now. Unless the
He's
Cronky's there.
available for 60 million euros. Why isn't he on the list?
Would you take Gabriel Jesus and Richarlison if we brought them both in?
I would be a little bit wary of Richarlison's
Me as
temperament,
well. Yeah.
but you
Why
know,
not go to a player we keep mentioning and go for Ivan Toney instead of Charles?
Ivan Toney, yeah, that's a good one. No, looking at Holland over at City and looking at Darwin Núñez who's possibly coming to Liverpool. It's not confirmed yet. That's the level that we can't get to, but we have to.
They're improving good, right? Or great, or whatever you want to call it. They're not like filling a hole, right? I don't think we're at the point where one player is going to do it for us. We got.
Yeah.
I keep saying it. We'd like 10 away, man.
Look, Gary. The title of the podcast is Arsenal Room for Improvement. We have room. We have spots in our team that we can fill with players. Jesus walks into the striking position. Tielemans walks into midfield, right?
Yeah. All these players that we're talking about, no matter whether you think they've got a spot, they're in the right spot. If they come, they all are an improvement of what we got. Gabriel takes a starting spot from anybody on the pitch, all right? Tielemans should have a spot, but I'm scared that Xhaka already has it filled. Yeah, but Gabriel puts somebody on the bench if he doesn't fill the striker spot. So that's for me an improvement because that means now we've got depth.
Because you know he's ugly.
If we had money on the hip to buy Vlahovic, then we had money to buy Darwin Núñez. So that tells me that they probably at that point weren't 100% convinced, drag their heels, and that we've lost out.
Yeah, but also other teams, Stan, are working on the same players, the same deals. Liverpool have probably been interested knowing Mane is moving on.
Do you not think it's strange though that we hear about players getting tapped up. What that means is that you're not allowed to say, you're Arsenal and you're looking at, I don't know, pick any player like Darwin Núñez, and you think, I like him. He's under contract though. What you're not supposed to do is go start speaking to him and his agent and saying, if he came to Arsenal, would he be happy with this amount? Would he be happy with that amount? These add-ons and blah blah blah. Yeah, it happens all of the time. Why is it when you're looking at I've heard stories of such players, their representatives came into London to see Edu and all that. Isn't that tapping up? Haven't you got to go to the club first to see if there's a deal? And then you start working out. But it all works the other way. You work everything out of the player, then you go to the club and start working out a transfer fee, and that's where the problems can arise.
They go both ways, though, right? Either way you look at it, whoever you talk to first, you could get screwed over by the other side. So you can't do both at the same time. If the player's not interested, it makes it easy, all right?
But you're not supposed to talk to the player before you've spoken to the club, are you?
You're talking to the agent. I'm not talking to the player.
Yeah, I mean, these
Not the same guy.
Guys under contract, and you will not inquire. You've got to speak to that.
These talks do go on for 10 months in the year, Stan.
And it's blatant. It's not secret. It's blatant. Such and such representatives flew in, and I'm like, isn't this tapping up?
Alonso,
can I answer that one?
I'm gonna give Alonso a question, then you can answer that one, right? Alonso, Stan talked about the pecking order a few minutes ago. So if Gabriel Jesus is number one, is Eddie Nketiah going to be number two, or will another striker come in front of Eddie? Now you can answer that, I guess, Tony.
Over to you, mate.
Get me off mute.
This question was written in the stars for you.
Tony hit the trapdoor button on Alonso.
I know, there you go.
Okay,
you know Dr. Evil when he makes the chairs go back.
On Pepe, teams are willing to pay $25 million for him, which is okay, but nobody's willing to pay us $140,000 a week wages. So we'll probably have to supplement that, like we keep on having to do. And we're doing the same thing with Eddie Nketiah, giving him $100,000. We won't be able to get rid of him. So there we are again. Plenty of teams are interested in him. $25 million is an okay price for him. But getting him out because of his wages is a difficult task. I'll probably have to supplement like 25% of his wages or a third of his wages to get him out the door.
Right. Big Skinner said we need Pepe's future sorted as soon as possible. And listen, I'm going to come to Pepe in a little bit as well. We'll talk about Pepe. I do think Jesus is an upgraded Lacazette. He will score more goals. Jesus is a clear upgrade and capable of scoring 20 a season.
Does anybody really think like he's just he's not better, just better than Lacazette?
Well, what's Lacazette was 15, 16 goals a season, right?
No, we're talking about right now. So he gave
no,
us
how do you know we're talking about right now?
Because that's what we are. That's why we're getting rid of him. He was getting us. If we thought this was a blip, he would have still been here, right? It's not a blip.
So how many goals do you think an upgraded Lacazette is? Then how many goals do you think?
An upgraded, like for me, it would be just under 10. That's not what Gabriel's going to bring us.
With some time,
it'd be 15 for me, but we're not going to get that out of Jesus.
When I say Lacazette to you, Gary, how many goals a season are you thinking?
Based on what?
His career, his Arsenal career.
Mostly it's going to be about 15 is the max he's going to give you. 13 to 15 is the max you're going to get.
13 to 15. So if we think Jesus is better, he can get 6 or 7 goals more.
I don't think he's going to get that many more.
He played what? He
played 32 games.
Yeah, but I mean, he only played like 2000. He only played like 20-something games in the Premier League. So he didn't play
32 games in the Premier League.
No, 28. I think it was. So
you said 22. Now you changed it to 20.
I said 20-something.
He didn't play. He didn't play all of those through the middle.
And he didn't. Yeah, and he didn't start all of those either. So he's going to start for Arsenal.
Plus,
I would expect him to get. Well. He got 16 goal contributions, right? And he didn't play that much for City. He's gonna, if he plays anywhere close to what he did, he's gonna be well over 20 goal contributions for us. should be easily double man for us.
The sample said, Ray, the one thing he needed from Lacazette was more goals. The tactics and structure of the team isn't conducive with scoring goals. Well, Tony...
That's not true, because we were one of the best creators of goal-scoring opportunities in the league.
Yeah, but we haven't scored them. We haven't scored them under Arteta.
That because we
Our
don't have people
strikers
finishing.
have not scored under Arteta.
We're creating the chances, so to say we're not creating the chances is not correct, right?
We are
scoring them because of a way Arteta teaches with strikers.
Well, we got to get a player who knows how to score. So hopefully that's the point of this whole thing, right?
The whole use of Lacazette over the last few years has been long debated on this channel. Lacazette clearly couldn't get into the box anymore to get on the end of things. I think Gabriel Jesus will not be playing in midfield, trying to link up the play. Gabriel Jesus' job will be in the box and scoring goals. I think it's two different scenarios, and try to compare maybe Lacazette to Jesus might be a very big injustice to Gabriel Jesus, I think, especially at this point in time.
Yeah, the only time he's going to be running towards the back line is because maybe he's running into the away fans or something ridiculous like that, just to say hi. That's the only time That's the only time I won when we're close to where Ramsdale is, right?
Alonso, where do you see Jesus and Eddie Nketiah? Stan had asked, is Eddie now going to be the second choice striker, or should we get another striker as well?
Arsenal will probably mix it all up and have Eddie Nketiah be the number 2 striker. Because I think I've heard that Arsenal just looking for other striker because they're content with Nketiah now. How much of that is true, I don't know, but it'd be the Arsenal thing to do, I think. That being said, I think they'll probably either get someone on the cheap, somewhere in Barcelona or Brazil or France, and then bring them up slowly, or just have Gabriel Jesus and Nketiah rotate, I guess. There has to be a striker that can fit in the system that Arteta plays.
Yeah,
and
another striker.
We can't always have that striker play the first 8, as Rohan Terence says, because what good does it do playing in midfield all the time, like Lacazette was doing? So you have to have someone who can link up as well with Saka and ESR and Odegaard, because that's how we've been playing, right? So I think Eddie will start off as a striker like that always has done in the past, to where the new striker, whether it be Jesus or whomever else, comes in slowly and just finishes the season. That's what as an Arsenal fan you want. But I think Arsenal will probably all mess all up and have Eddie start to the middle of the season and then bring on a new striker whenever we need him, I guess. But who knows? Even if Gabriel's a done deal, because clearly it's not, because now Real Madrid are in for him as well. So that's
what the newspapers are trying to make you fearful of. But I don't think
there are 3 or 4 teams interested anyway.
I don't think Gabriel Jesus will end up at Real Madrid. Real Madrid will need to move on one of their players, and they do need to sign somebody. They missed out on Mbappe. They missed out on Haaland. And
right.
They're going to need to sign a high-profile striker, but I don't think it's going to be Jesus.
But what I don't like is whenever you read those rumors, and Arsenal's targets have come out, and then they may get approached by other teams. You see what I'm saying? So the whole Gabriel thing is not a done deal unless we see it firsthand with the shirt that says Jesus on it. Other than that, I think, like I said, we'll start the season with Nketiah because that's what Arsenal going to do. That's what I believe Arteta will start off as, because he knows the system, and then gradually bring on the new striker, whoever that is. So I'm afraid we'll have this new striker, whoever it is. Maybe hopefully it's Gabriel Jesus, then Nketiah, and whoever else.
Yeah, I think Real Madrid is definitely not going to happen. I think,
Right.
if I recall, if they can't get the passports completed for like 3 of their players, they can't bring on any new imports essentially. So they're not going to happen. And he's going to go there. What? He's going to start?
No.
No,
Well,
he's coming to
over,
Arsenal. He's going to start, and he needs to start and play 90-minute games so that he's ready to go for the World Cup. So
the high confidence level I have for Gabriel Jesus, okay, it's well documented. Big Brazil contingent, Edu's there. Arteta's worked with him before. He sees himself walking right into that side in the position. Lacazette's left. Aubameyang's not there anymore. He's going to be the striker if he comes to us. And, there's a World Cup coming up, which can't be understated for a lot of these players, that they want to play and feature for club teams and be picked for their country when time comes up to stand.
I still think though that we might bring in another one, because there's still a lot of talks about this other guy. I think he plays in Serie A, Samaka, who I don't know too much about. I can't even remember who he plays for. Who's he played for?
Is it
Sassuolo.
Sassuolo? Yeah.
Yeah, I think and they keep talking about him as well. So
Yeah.
I don't think that Gabriel Jesus will be the only one. But if we are clever and we bring in another striker, I think Gabriel Jesus would be a great addition, because he brings so much to this team in experience, goal involvements. He doesn't always have to be the number 9. He could, as I say, he could play in the team alongside another number 9. He could play on the flank.
You think we're signing him as a number 9?
No, I think we're signing him for the role that I said that. Like when you sign a player on FIFA, you can tell them how important or whatever. It's from like prospect to crucial. You've got prospect, sporadic, rotation, important, and crucial. He is an important player. What I mean by that is he will definitely get a lot of game time, but it might not always be in that one position. It makes him versatile. You need to rotate out Saka, you can put him in there. Give Saka a little bit of a rest. That's so much of a needed rest that he didn't get this season. Meanwhile, we've still got another guy that can play through the middle. He can also play on the left as well. So it's very versatile.
I think he'll be a choice on the left.
He'd be very versatile, and he can play through the middle. And not only does he score, he creates. He gets assists. So that's if this was FIFA, that's what I would say to him. You're an important player. That means you're going to get a lot of game time, mate.
He's really good at pressing as well, and being that first line of defense, Gary, pressing the defense and getting. Odegaard is another player who orchestrates that defense, that pressing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess they didn't notice. I guess my footballing viewing is up to you guys, but I knew things were cleaner in the middle. Why? And that's because of Odegaard, right? I mean, he was definitely making things a lot nicer and clean through there. I mean, I think he was definitely missing Partey, and that's when he needs to be able to get to that next level, right? But yeah, no, he played well. Like I said, we did see he did lose the ball, even towards the end of the season when he was playing well, he was still losing the ball for no reason. But I think that for me, that's just he needs time, which is what a lot of these players do. They need some time, and they need some support around them. So we need, like I said, as well as they're playing, they just need more support around them. So Arsenal has to at the least do that. Gabriel will do that. Tielemans will do that. Zinchenko will all do that. Healthy Tomiyasu, and then that will help. Help Tierney push up the field if that's what we want to do. I mean, all these things contribute to getting these youngsters better. I mean, just looking at we're talking about the chances created between Odegaard, Martin, and Saka. It's over 120 chances created. They're in the top 5 in the league doing that. Between the two of them is Salah and KDB, right? I mean, what more do they have? They don't have to do much more. If they can do what they did last season and get better at it, and we have better players around them.
What you're saying, Gary, is the chances are being created, but they're not being taken, right?
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
being finished.
Well, a lot of times, what you're putting crosses into a, when you put a cross into Lacazette, he's not getting it.
It's in the centre
Right.
circle. He's still in the centre circle. He's
Well,
still.
like,
He's
well,
waiting for the bus to take
Or
him up
even
to the
if he's
penalty
in there,
area.
it's like he's on his knees, and you're like, wait a second, you got to jump for the ball, buddy. So
Running
we're
through
talking
treacle.
about-
Running was it running through treacle?
So we're talking about improvement. Then we talked about Saliba coming in. Saliba will help us at the back, improving.
Big Bill.
If we do something in terms of our fullbacks, either it be better amount of games that Tierney can play, Tomiyasu can play, rather than 21 games a season in the league. Play more, closer to 30 games. That's going to improve us. Clearly, we sign a Tielemans, a Bissouma, or a Zinchenko in midfield. That's going to improve us. And we're talking about Gabriel Jesus and maybe a winger as well coming in as well.
Can I just add there? I mean,
Yeah.
do you think in the last window, if we signed Gabriel Jesus and Tielemans, would we have got 2 more points in the league?
Undoubtedly, easily.
So that's how I kind of try to equate it of how much they could maybe improve us. And we're not. I mean, and even if we do bring in those 2, they probably won't be the only 2.
No.
So we've got to be in a better position.
I think if we would have spent a little more and maybe gotten one of those 2 strikers in Dakar or Edouard, I think we would have. You could
Given
also
us something.
seen that giving us some extra points that we
Yeah.
didn't get when we needed it, because they would have definitely given us. I mean, I think Edouard is a big fella, if I recall. So,
Lacazette, the assemble said Lacazette was called a striker, but that wasn't the role he was given, and that was while we had a very poor midfield. Let's not forget. And Lacazette was given the role of compensating for deficiencies in midfield. Arteta has depreciated the price of several of our players, says Tony. And the only way forward now is to start getting some appreciation, not depreciation, Alonso, and making the right choices in the transfer market, getting the right players in. The 6 players that we got last season, I think you could take all of them and say they've probably improved their price for the most part,
Minus Tavares.
minus Sambi, maybe as well.
well, I think if they were brought in to back up the players they were brought in for, then they did not do the job they were supposed to.
They didn't head home.
But I think, you look at it now. They're project players. They're going to come and replace Partey and Tierney, and we wouldn't miss a beat. I mean, they're not there. Yeah. Sambi cannot play with Xhaka. It's just not going to happen. The 2 just don't work together for me, anyways. And Nuno just defensively is just terrible.
Yeah, Tavares is liability. As far as some of the Congo, I think once he gets there, he'll be okay. But again, I think it depends on his partner as well, because we have yet to see the Congo's strengths as far as being an Arsenal, and he'll get cup games, I think, with Nene, because I think he's better suited with Nene. Given the fact that Nene is like more of a ball protector, and he is a better supporter than Xhaka is. I think with the Congo, I think he's got more potential as well. Given more playing time, I think that's what he'll get.
The thing with Sambi as well, we hope that that connection in the Belgian team might inspire Tielemans to want to come if he doesn't already want to come to Arsenal. There might be a little bit of a connection there in the Belgian camp. Secret agent Sambi. Stan, you were sort of saying you thought one of the players had done okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's. I think for a settling in period for a young lad who's coming over to a new culture, I thought Sambi Lokonga didn't have too much of a bad season. I thought I saw promise there, value for money. I mean, he was the captain of his former team, so he's obviously got something about him. I don't think he looked terrible. But speaking of Yuri Tielemans, what I like about Yuri Tielemans and both Gabriel Jesus is I always play career mode on FIFA. And I'm one of those that I like to like go onto the internets and find promising young players that that you can sort of like nurture and bring along. And years and years and years ago, two of them, one was Gabriel Jesus and one was Tielemans, and it's really funny. It kind of tickles me when I see them in the real world actually starting to make a name for themselves. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
the guys at EA Sports, they got it right that time. They knew that these guys were gonna flourish. But Yuri Tielemans, what I really impresses me about him, even though I really liked him anyway, I found out quite recently that he's 25, right? And he has a UEFA full coaching A badge already. Now, I mean, I don't know whether this is a regular thing and maybe more players have that and I just don't know. But I was quite impressed that at the age of 25 that he's taken it upon himself to get that done.
Wants to be in the game. Yeah.
That tells me as well.
Game.
That tells me as well that when it comes to a little bit of technical nous on the pitch, it must give him an advantage. It must give him an advantage to the game to have had that kind of an insight. But as I say, maybe loads of them have that, and we just don't know. But I just found it very impressive that he's gone out of his way to acquire that.
Okay, so I've mentioned Saliba coming back from loan, and remains to be seen, of course, if he plays a competitive game for Arsenal. Who else could come back from loan that would help us?
Herrera.
I think
Alonso. And then I'll go to Tony.
Torreira. I think we should never have given away in the first place. I think it's a shame that it didn't work out the first time we owned him out. I think that he's kind of midfielder that you want to have because he's tenacious, and I think that he doesn't really give up on plays, and I think that he's going to still be an important player on the pitch. So yeah.
Sorry, that was a good comment from Stephen there. We should replace Arteta with Tielemans. Now he's got his coach's balance, coaching badges. Good shout, Torreira coming back. And as Gary mentioned, there's no money in Serie A. Player, or if they have it, they're hiding it under the pillow somewhere, under the mattress.
Apparently, the fans over there are so pissed off that of the prospect of Torreira leaving. They're putting up huge banners in the streets on the motorways and what have you. And I'll be very quick. I'm with Alonso. I still think that we could have handled him a little better, and I think that he could have helped us in some way. But he seems to be one that slipped through our fingers.
Tony, Torreira.
Yeah, I went with Torreira. He led the top 5 leagues in Europe with stops in the final third with tackles and interceptions.
Well, this season, last season, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Wow, that's not bad.
Yeah, one of the fans' favorites is I think Stan. You said that over there in Fiorentina, Torreira.
They're literally rioting over Torreira.
Yeah.
I just wish we just bring him back and play him a central defensive mid and get rid of this fucking double pivot bullshit. Just have one player back there. Don't need
Well, we're going that way, Tony. We're going to that single pivot with 2 8s either side, left and right.
No, go get Basuma then.
We're going to that diamond shape. Gary, your thoughts on Torreira? You think he could come back and do a job for us, especially?
Because I'm going to be negative, because if he was, they would already put him, because we need that support. I mean, nothing says we need a player that has those particular skill sets than what we just saw this last season, and the seasons before, and the season before. I mean, we just don't have what we need in the midfield, in the middle of the pitch.
We have
it. He's not. Well, he's not. It's not. Arteta doesn't see it, so obviously it's not happening.
Torreira that did the job he did. Then you had Guendouzi that made the French 11.
Once again, he doesn't want him. So if he doesn't want him, and he doesn't replace him, and that's the problem. Isn't whether or not he wants him or not. He's not replacing them.
We haven't replaced
all these players. Think about all the players that we let go. Right?
How many players have we replaced that we sold or let go?
Nobody. We didn't replace anybody. All right. Chambers gone. We don't have a replacement for him. Maitland-Niles gone. No replacement for him. No replacement. No replacement. Torreira's gone. No replacement for him.
Reece Nelson.
Tomiyasu.
Yeah, but Belligan was starting, so all we did was replace Belligan with Tomiyasu, right? In terms of
No.
a starter, we had
Bellerin.
a versatile player. We had a versatile
Bellerin,
player
not
like
Belligan.
Not
Billy Niles,
Balogun.
right?
Bellerin.
Bellerin is who I said. Is what I said. Bellerin.
He said Balogun.
I said Bellerin. I might have mumbled, but I
You said Belligan.
I said Belligan.
You
Oh,
said
we know.
Belligan, Morty.
I said.
Man, what did he say?
Anyways, let me. I
Belligan.
know what I said. Don't tell me what I said. All right.
Everybody
I
tell
think
us what
Mavropanos.
you heard Gary
He
say.
said
No, but
Mavropanos.
like I said, I
He
kind
said
of feel.
Mavropanos.
I kind
He said Mavropanos. I heard him.
There you go. Like I said, I just don't think we've replaced the players that we keep getting rid of. Right. So Torreira is a player that we want, that every fan thinks we need.
Yeah.
Arteta says no. Guendouzi is a player everybody feels we need. Arteta says no. Chambers, everybody was happy with the way he was being utilized. Arteta said, nope, don't need him. Right? He couldn't sell Maitland-Niles on where he needed to play. The
So
man had to go to another country and play in the same position he was going to play with us. That's basically saying, you know what? I don't trust you. I don't trust you.
So you're basically saying that we don't believe that Torreira will come back and be
Because
used.
Arteta is not. I'm just going by what I see, and what I
Yeah.
see is a manager who doesn't
Let me
want certain
let me
players, and we
move
gotta.
on
We gotta
to let me move on to another one, and I'm going to throw another one out at you. We'll get to the Pepe chat. Reese Nelson. Does anyone think Reese Nelson could come back? And have
He'll come back, but I don't think he's good enough.
He's already had his test. He failed. No matter what he does, he's just going to be a selling resource. That's it. You're going to sell
He's
him.
not
Right?
even good enough for a squad player. He needs to go.
I've heard that the team that he's with over
Balogun
there
right back.
in the Eredivisie, I can't remember, is he with Feyenoord?
Yeah.
Whoever he's with over there.
Yeah, with Feyenoord,
Yeah.
he played in that cup final, Stan.
Well, I was
And
reading
played quite
earlier
well.
today that they're inquiring about seeing if they can keep hold of him. I don't know whether that's a transfer or an extended loan.
I think it's a loan. Those teams know better until Arsenal says no, and then uses the player. But they know better. They know Arsenal's not going to use the player. So you know what? Until that day comes where you don't want him, that's fine. We'll utilize him. And we'll make him worth more than he was when he was with you. Right? Until that happens, we're going to be teams are going to say, "Nah, it's all right. We'll take him on loan, but we're not going to buy him."
Okay, so to wind up this Arsenal room for improvement, right? We need everything matters. Everything's important. The injuries, we need to minimize injuries. We need to pad out our squad. We need to have more depth. We need to have better depth, and we need to bring in some signings. Does anyone else see any other areas that we can improve? Coaching, the manager has to improve. You can't go back to putting a left-sided midfielder in the left back position.
He's got
Yeah,
5
he's
subs.
gonna
He's
do
gonna
that
have
work
to. He's gonna have 5 substitutions, and he has to use them and use them wisely.
Yeah.
Players don't have to play full 90s. He should
That's
be.
why I don't know why he
should,
just wants 25 players.
well, he needs to have. He needs to have a
Give
big
him a
enough
full
squad that he
29.
can bring in 5 subs in a game, and we don't lose anything.
Yeah.
So that's
We don't even have 2 of those subs now. That's what's horrible.
Yeah.
Tony, what do you want to see from Arteta? And then I'll go to Stan then, just on Arteta.
Want to see better player management. He needs to give players a chances. Put an arm around their shoulders. Believe in them instead of saying, I don't want to take the time with you. Fuck off. That's basically what he's done with 5 or 6 players. And other than that, in-game management, we have to have plan Bs. I just want to see us mainly assure our style. Then I want to see complete 90 minutes. We don't even see complete halves. We see like 20, 30-minute bursts of playing good. And as far as the players, I want to see them following the manager's game plan. Because we keep hearing that they're not following the manager's game plan.
I think, to push back on you, Tony, I don't think any team really dominates. There's not many teams that dominate a game for
I'm not saying dominate, just play 90 minutes of football.
Okay. So, competent defending even in those 90 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And, we did fall apart a little bit toward the end of the season. I think Ramsdale, somebody said something about Ramsdale, that he lost his mojo a little bit. I think he tightened up a little bit. Somebody said he wasn't himself.
No, I mean,
For-
you
for
remember in the
example-
first half of the season, right? Just think about the Wolves game, right? Gabriel gives up that really bad pass. Goal is scored. Is Ramsdale there going, basically, get up there. Just get up there. Let's go.
Yeah.
Similar things might have happened in the last 10 games of this season. The last 5 losses that we had, Ramsdale, he wasn't even chatting. He wasn't even saying anything to anybody.
We lost our way. We lost our mojo. We lost our looseness. So Ramsdale wasn't loose. Tony, you wanted to come back real quick. Then I'm going to go to Stan.
Yeah. Go back. Look at the Newcastle game. Did we look like we were a team that even wanted to come in and play 30 minutes, let alone 90
Very
minutes?
disappointing. Yeah, very disappointing.
We had all the line. We could have sealed it up, and we just did absolutely nothing.
You had a perfect opportunity to at least try to assert yourself as the better team in the league. Arsenal versus Newcastle. We've always been better than them. They're going to come. They're going to improve, and we need to do that next season. Stan, we're talking about Arteta now. Last season, right, we divided it up into 3 sections. 12 games, 14 games, then the final 12. So what are you looking at next season?
A couple of things as well. I'd like him to bring in another wide player. That way, then we don't have to be so overly reliant on Saka. Whoever's playing on the left, whether it's a Martinelli or an Emil Smith-Rowe. I want another wide player, preferably a player that can play on either side, to switch it up and to give those players much needed rest so that they're fresher towards the end of the season. You could see how jaded they were at the end of the season. Some of the in-game management things that Arteta does, I feel that, for example, towards the end of the season, he could have used Leno again, because Ramsdale did lose his form a little bit. It's a team game. He could have taken Ramsdale out and put Leno in. Leno's not a bad keeper. You saw the game when he had to play him, how well he did, and how the team appreciated him as well. So he's obviously still got good standing within the squad. So like everybody, wants to see the back of him. So, also as well, things like overlooking El Neni and going straight to Lokonga. And then after that didn't work, having to backpedal and go to El Neni, and it's resulted in El Neni, getting rewarded with a contract. And how good his display was. He has to get things like that right. Those kind of decisions, he has to get them right.
Yes.
So that's basically it for me.
Yeah. Jurgen Klopp is the best in business, I believe, in rotating the squad, going on the training field, knowing what players are right, and knowing. Also, he's got a hell of a good squad as well, and committed players that have heart and desire. Arsenal need that, but they also need Arteta to look at his players and know who needs to take a break and who can play for him in the next game, and shuffle your squad. Alonso, I'm bring you back in with Arteta. What do you want to see next season from Arteta? We're looking at improvement from the team, but the manager has to improve as well.
Better rotation. I think everyone has probably said that we kind of cut off at the end when we needed the wins the most. I think that I don't think Arteta knows people's worth sometimes, and I think that he doesn't use players' strengths as much as he ought to. For example, Stan, you probably talked about it. Nene, bringing him on as he did during the season, whenever clearly you saw Nene's strengths and better communication. I think that Arteta lacks that. I think that he lacks communication and let the players play. I think that he's so often known as a micromanaging kind of manager, and the young kids that we have don't need that. I think they're afraid that they will mess up if he continues to be a micromanager that he is. And unfortunately, I think that's also kind of held the young gunners back a little bit, is that they are afraid to mess up. And also, I think that he needs to show confidence in his backups. Like Pepe, we could have used Pepe. I think no matter how informed Pepe was, he still could have used them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so
Great points, Alonso.
And I think also with Udegaard, I think that Emil Sissoko is number 10 as his natural position, and I think he could use ESR also at the 10 as well. So Arteta should learn from his mistakes, I think, and he doesn't learn from them. So
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Alonso said.
Yeah. Listen, I think the micromanagement comes from knowing you have players who are not as good as they need to be.
I'd just like to see.
But you saw when Arteta wasn't managing his team how they played against one of the best teams in the world. Right? We saw that with our eyes. We all enjoyed it. We're all happy to see it. We're like, damn, this is how we can play this way. And we never saw it again. We never saw that style again. We saw us compete against Liverpool, but we never saw that team that we saw against City again. We never saw it. And we're playing lesser talented teams, right? Why is that? You know, like when a cat's away, the mice play kind of thing, you know, like he's holding them back a little bit because we see it, right?
So think about that, Gary. We can't.
That was creativity when you're being micromanaged.
But that was New Year's Day, right? And we were coming in on the back of 5 or 6 wins on the trot. We've beaten Southampton, we've beaten Leeds, we've beaten Norwich 5-0. We came in.
We beat the pillars of a Premier League, right?
We were rested. But Tony, we were rested. We didn't play that Wolves team you were afraid of on Boxing Day. We were supposed to play that. We were rested. We came in. We were playing really well, and we didn't. We lost that game because of ourselves. We had a couple of chinks in our armor. We lost that game against City, and then we were into AFCON with injuries, COVID.
That's no excuse for losing to Nottingham
How long
Forest.
do we know that AFCON was coming up?
I hear you.
That's how things slow down. That's how things slow down, guys.
You can't lose to Nottingham Forest and then blame it on AFCON, sickness, none of that.
No,
I'm sorry. I'm not taking. No, you can't.
Don't talk about Nottingham Forest.
No, but that's who we lost to right after that game.
Because we didn't put a good side out.
It doesn't matter. I told you that when it happened. We have to be able to play.
We're out of the cups earlier since 89, 90, right?
Come on,
no
man.
Excuses for
Gary, you're talking about our depth being so poor, and we pick a poor side. What do you expect?
Yeah, but
this
is in line with the whole thing with Arteta, right? That's what I'm saying. I have no doubt if Albert was running that team against Nottingham Forest, we wouldn't have played the same squad. Yeah. The same squad. I have no doubt. I feel like no doubt they would have played a totally. It might have been 0-0, go to penalty kicks or something like that. But we weren't going to they were for some points of the game dominating us, and we were getting nothing out of that game. Did anybody think we were going to score once that goal went in? I don't think anybody thought a goal from our side was going to happen.
I'll just say one thing. Look at this team we put out against Manchester City. It was that's our first choice team. You look at the team from 1 to 11, that's our first choice. Nottingham Forest was a shit show in terms of the players we put on the field.
It was still Nottingham Forest.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. We can't then turn around. So here we go. So what you're saying is when we play, we've got European football now, right? So what you're saying is when we're playing the cup games now, the EFL and the Carabao Cup, that you know what? It's going to be our crap players, and they shouldn't be able to get anything out of those matches.
The idea is to upgrade over this summer. The idea is not to have the same bad depth that we had for that Nottingham Forest game.
The thing is, on the City game under Albert, they're playing balls out. Under Arteta, they don't play balls out.
Here's the thing, right? I've always felt that. I've always felt myself personally that I would like to see Arteta take a little bit more sometimes of a little bit more of a chilled approach on the touchline, and I say that in the respect of give them the time, the freedom to play their game. You've been working with them all week. I get it that there are points and you're on the touchline and you need to correct things, But with Mikel Arteta, I just seem to notice it so much more with him, that he seems to be up more than he is down. And a lot of us have spoken about how we feel that it's micromanagement and it must inhibit, but none of us play the game. So one time I had an opportunity to ask a football player about this very thing, and it was Kevin Campbell. And I said to him, what are your thoughts on Mikel Arteta constantly being on the touchline? He's constantly barking instructions. He's constantly, sometimes he'll focus on one player and he'll hear him calling out one player's name repeatedly. Danny, 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 Gabby, 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 Gabby. You know, and I said to him, you know, is that normal? I mean, can that affect the players? And his opinion was, there's nothing to it. It's nothing to it. You know, yeah, it's not a problem. I don't know what, you know, you shouldn't be concerning yourself.
I think that's bullshit.
Now, I've never played the game myself, but I do still, even though I heard him say that, to me, it just sticks out so much with Mikel Arteta. And there are times, like you say, when he wasn't able to be there and the team did have more of an opportunity to breathe. We did see something a little bit different, didn't we? I'm sure we did. You know, so we're talking about improvements. I'd like Mikel Arteta to sit back in his chair sometimes and allow the game to take its course a little bit, to breathe before he wants to make changes and start coaching players for the whole game.
These are the things that we will look for next season, as hopefully we all hope, right, that Arteta develops and improves.
That's why the water breaks help, because he can tell them after 23 minutes, hey, this is what you need.
Surely it would make you feel on edge, especially if you're a new player that's come to the team from another country, come to Arsenal, and in the first game you play, throughout the whole game, the manager's just going like, Gary, 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 or Tony, 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 Tony. And you think to yourself, he's not doing this to anyone else. It's just me. It would make me feel a little bit like,
it takes away your creative.
You know,
you're thinking hey, I got to do
really
this
bad?
for managers.
Am I really bad? I've been training all week. Am I not carrying out the instructions? Am I not getting it? You know, you'd just be second guessing yourself. I think maybe I'm looking into it too deeply. I don't know.
Well, no, I mean the fact that he's pulled Tavares out 2 games early, right? What, 30 minutes and at halftime?
Yeah.
Nah, come on. You know what? Nah. I mean, like you said, nah. Something's just not right about that. So yeah, no. I've said exactly what you said there a long time. You know, many times ago, where you spend all this work. We talked about having 1 game a week, practicing for it, having every question answered about how the other team's going to come at us. And still we come out looking like we don't know what we're trying to do against a team. Oh, they're in a low block. We can't break that down. Why can't we break that down? Didn't we know they were going to do that? That's what they do all the time. You know what I mean? There's a low block. Everybody says, oh, no, they're going to come with a low block. We have no answer for that. Are you kidding? We keep seeing it. Teams are going to keep doing it until we have an answer. We got to have answers for it going into the match, not during it. Long before we get to the match, they should already have answers as how to break.
The question of low block will have to be addressed when we get better midfielders and a better striker.
BX Gunner says something here that's really struck a chord with me. He says he's a great assistant but no manager. And why it struck a chord with me is I was listening to something earlier in the week, and the topic was about Steve McLaren, who was coach, assistant manager to Alex Ferguson at Man United, then went off to be a manager in his own right, and even at international level, right? Yeah. And he went off to Holland. And it's from what I get from the opinion of players that have been under Steve McLaren is he's a shit manager but a really good coach. When it comes to the actual management side of the game, when he is the manager, he doesn't fit the role. It doesn't quite work for him as the manager. However, some of those players will then say to you, well, I've had him as my coach. He's coached. Some of the Man United players that play for England, and he's now their manager at England, he used to be their coach, right? And they say he's a brilliant coach, fantastic coach, one of the best coaches I've ever worked with. And I just saw that by BX Gun, and I thought to myself, maybe time will play out. It could be a similar syndrome. I'm not saying it is. Glenn Roeder was another one, West Ham manager, Newcastle manager. Yeah. Paul Gascoigne said he's one of the best coaches he's ever worked with. But when he was actually the manager, just didn't quite translate. He just didn't have the charisma, what was required to be the face of the football club. So, good point, BX Gunner.
Yeah.
I get what he means.
Yeah, I've often said Arteta's more of a coach than a manager, and he needs to. I think being a manager is more of the human side of it, knowing how to unlock potential from a player, because everybody's different, everybody's personality.
I mean, it's going to ask the silly. So, what part of the coaching do you see on the pitch that you think, all right, that's Arteta there?
Plenty of his
It's very-
It's just a lot of hesitation. I don't know if it's because
It's a very subjective question. That
I know, but that's what I'm saying. So, if he's
Okay,
coaching really well, I mean,
I'll tell you what I see then. Especially at the back, it doesn't seem to be, even though you might look at, before you want to see the lineup and say, we've got 4 at the back. There are times in the game when we do go to a 5 at the back with the third and wing backs. I do see a lot of different styles in what he's doing. He likes to work up the left a lot as well, doesn't he? I mean, Jesus. I mean, there was one point where it was just like everything was being telegraphed up the left. But he's gone through a few formation changes, and I think at the end of the day, what he really wants to have is a fluid 4-3-3 with one person, maybe to Thomas Partey,
anchoring.
who's going to be your deepest person in the middle 3, and then you could have, for example, Odegaard and a Tielemans ahead, either a side of him. What Tielemans does, he helps you in that transition in between Partey and an Odegaard, and you've got Odegaard then working his magic with those that are the 3 ahead. I think that's where we're going to be heading to, is a 4-3-3 formation.
if you
He
brought
looked the best
Basuma,
this
if you
season
brought
when he did
Basuma
play that
in,
formation.
aren't you pushing Partey up even closer to Erdegaard?
No.
Say
No?
again, sorry, Gary.
Who do you got?
If you bring in a Basuma, are you going to just push Partey up closer to Erdegaard?
And this is where I feel Basuma may not be the best fit.
That's why I'm asking that question, because I mean, is Partey better suited playing in that middle, right in front of the back line, or is he better further up the pitch?
I think you would think of Basuma naturally as being a deeper player, but if you look at Brighton, they play a very high pressing game, and Basuma does find himself quite a lot in the higher third of the pitch as well. He doesn't necessarily hang deep. Personally, let's say you're looking at Tielemans or Basuma.
That's the question.
They're different players. I'd like to get both of them. That would solve a hell of a problem.
Right, but let me ask you one question. With Partey, who would be the better partner then with Partey, Stan?
Well, you could have an opportunity where in some games you could have Partey with a Basuma. You could have a double anchor in some games, right? Playing Champions League games away from home, you might want to go for a double anchor. It also gives you an opportunity to give Partey rest, which in turn may keep him away from injury.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have to play as often and he's spared more, then he doesn't, we get longer out of him. The thing is, it gives us variety, and that's something that we haven't had.
And
lacking variety.
But
Absolutely.
primarily you want a 6 and 2-8, right, Stan?
yes.
Yeah, but it would be nice to also sometimes be able to go to a formation where you might have 2 6s.
Yeah.
And you both just said that both of those players can move up the pitch if they need to. We've seen it.
Well,
Now
Stan has
No,
said
but I mean, and the one thing I did like about Basuma, I think his recovery is a lot better than Partey's. So then you're not, if you do put them on and Partey does move up the pitch, you've got somebody who can sit back there and recover.
You see,
Has-
Just as well, if not
how,
better.
you see how Xhaka has been playing more forward of late. He wasn't. We used to have him in that double pivot, and it was fucking accident central, wasn't it? And then you punch it like that.
Midfielder.
Yeah.
That's what you would do. Is you would just basically switch out Xhaka and put Tielemans in there,
Yeah.
and you would see a lot more happening in that position because he's more mobile, and he's got a full UEFA coaching A badge.
I always
How
find it
many
weird
times you
when
gotta
people
throw that out
say
there,
if
Stan?
you bring Tielemans and you get
times.
there's nothing different than Jacques, and I'm like,
no.
but we've made
Much
Jacques'
better.
job a lot easier. by doing where we put him now, right?
And
And you're not going to have
he's
to
better
necessarily do that.
And he is better on the tackle. You know, he does have a defensive side to his game, Tielemans. You know, he can get back and help out there. And when he tackles, he doesn't feel the need to like clothesline someone or wrap his hands around him and give him a hug.
Yeah.
To the ground. He will use his feet to try and win the ball,
Exactly.
and then he will turn the transition over, and then we're breaking away again. And also, did I tell you that he's got full UEFA Coach and A badges?
Yes, I think you did mention that earlier.
I don't
I've
think
heard
that might be
about
the first
50
time I heard it.
over the past
I think that's the
month,
first time I heard that from you
First time
tonight.
I heard. Yeah, there's an
Well,
echo in this room.
has, right?
There's an echo in this room, spaced about 20 minutes apart. That's all I'll say. Campbell said the role he wants Partey to play is nearly physically impossible, a hurly-burly of the Premiership.
I see, right? So if you have Basuma, like you said, you can either one can start and one can sit, or they both can play, and they don't have to give 100% for the entire game.
Tony, I think definitely, Gary. Tony, I think the best compliment we can say is you wouldn't want Liverpool to go and get Tielemans and Basuma because you'd be saying they're really good players.
Liverpool looking at both of them as well?
No, but they have
why
been
did
in
you
the
say
past.
that then?
Just to give you
a heart attack.
A little bit of a fight. But some people would say we don't need a Tielemans, but if Liverpool were going
that's so not true. We need backups to everybody. Every spot needs another player, if not better, at the same level. Right?
I'm just saying you would feel jealous if you heard Liverpool wanted Tielemans.
They got Jota and then said, you know what, we're going to get another player to help us out as well, Diaz, right? And now Diaz, Jota's sitting. You thought, okay, Firmino's out, so maybe that gets Jota in there. Nope, Diaz is in there. As far as I'm concerned, like
Liverpool probably heard about is your full UEFA Coach and A badges. That's probably what sparked the interest.
That's 3 now. That's 3 hits.
He's mentioned it 5 times, Ray. Pay attention.
I could see Partey being sold if he gets injured again.
That's because Partey hasn't got a full UEFA Coach.
Coach and badges.
With a Basuma coming in to win the midfield battle, 81. That's too obvious. You'll be called negative. Stop using common sense. So, Alonso, these are 2 midfielders we would love, right? Any one of the 2 of Zinchenko, Tielemans, or Basuma.
I'd take the one that had a UEFA Coach and A badge. If one of them happened to have one, that
would be the deciding factor, right?
Sorry, Lolly.
I wonder if Tielemans is willing to share his coaching badge then. No, but I think according to Tony, Tielemans is too slow.
I just got a vision of Tielemans turning up on his first day at Arsenal, right? And all the players are standing there, and Arteta's talking, and then all of a sudden he stops and looks at Tielemans and goes, "The fuck is that?" And he's like, "What?" He goes, "That thing on your arm there." He goes, "Oh, that?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, that's my UEFA Coach and A badge. And Mikel Arteta's like, "That's your what?" Do you know what I mean? He's like, "Get the fuck out!"
And he's like, "You bastard." No, but yeah, I think that I was wanting Basuma to come in a year ago at Arsenal to maybe push Xhaka and or Partey, but we had gotten Partey not on his history record. And Basuma and Tielemans both know the English football game, right? Whereas Partey gets hurt a lot. So I think it will help us out a lot as far as depth, and we're going to need a lot of midfield help because neither of them, Partey nor Xhaka, are defensive midfielders by nature. So we've kind of built them up to be those positions, but they're not clearly defensive midfielders. So I think Basuma brings that attribute in his game, in his locker. As far as Tielemans goes, I think he isn't slow enough as Xhaka is, but I think he'll still make an impact like he did at Leicester, as far as moving up the pitch and scoring some goals like he did in the FA Cup final. So both of them add attributes that we don't have right now. So that both of them will be a plus or added addition. As far as Zinchenko goes, he's won at City, so he's a winner. So it'd be good to have that as well. we've been lacking that leadership winner mentality on our team. So, yeah, I think either team will be just fine at Arsenal.
As Stan said here, is Basima still helping the police with their inquiries? I believe that there is a court case, and as Gary said, some baggage.
That's the thing, innit? Right?
There's some baggage hanging over him, Gary.
Yeah, no, I think that's everybody's just sort of wait and see, and then as soon as the court, the answer comes from the courts, then it's going to be a scramble to get them. So, yeah.
Question: after all the transfer windows Arteta's had, are you any clearer of Arsenal's direction? What? You're not clear? We're going. We're going younger. We're adding quality as we go. We're building the blocks.
When you have top four in your grasp and you do fuck all,
and we've gone from 2 8th place finishes to a 5th.
No, well, you said, do I have an understanding of how they were going to use their windows? No, because they've switched every time, every window.
No, that's not the question. Is after all of the transfer windows?
No, because I don't know what it's because tomorrow is going to be a totally different window. Every window we've had, there's no clear. Like we've got some holes we need to fill.
Is it trending up or trending down?
We've got some holes we need to fill. We don't fill them. We've got some holes to fill. We don't even try to fill any of them.
It's in waves,
any of
them,
right?
Waves. Okay.
There was the first window was Willian. That's going to win now, right? Then it was the January window, which I actually liked after that because we brought in 2 players that actually fit a need for us, right? All right, cool. And then the next window comes. Oh wait, we're going to go young now. We're going to actually pull out 3 or 4 starters out of that mix, right? Great, good. This is 4 starters out of that, right? So perfect. January comes. We need to fill some holes, just like all the big boys did. Everybody filled some holes that finished above, except for Chelsea, right? That needed.
They signed someone, didn't they? Today I read they signed. I didn't read the article. It just said the new owners have signed someone.
So for me, the January window tells me that they took a step back.
All right. So listen, let's round up this Arsenal room for improvement because I actually want to talk about a little bit Nunez, Haaland, the transfer window opening up, and specifically Liverpool. I'm going to hone in on Liverpool because if Arsenal can improve themselves, I'm looking around at some teams that could not be as good as us next season.
You should have got Dave on, Dave Chats.
So who? Dave.
Yeah,
LFC
Chats.
Dave. Well, maybe on Sunday we'll do that. We'll get Dave.
Do you know what? He's my favourite Liverpool supporter. Is Dave.
Yeah, why?
He's just a nice bloke, isn't he?
I love Dave.
Do you know what I mean? I fucking hate Liverpool sometimes, but then I see Dave and that, and he's got that big smile, and I think, I like Dave.
And listen, he's Irish too. So you can't beat that, right?
Good lad, Dave. I like him.
I like Dave. We'll get him on Sunday. Talk a bit about Nunez. Liverpool, rightly so. The fans will be pretty much pumped and thinking that the Nunez is going to happen, and by all accounts, it should happen, right? But it's a big investment, Stan, in Nunez, Darwin Nunez.
Well, I mean, the good thing is, they've got a couple of Portuguese in there now, haven't they?
Yeah,
Jota, and the other one. Who's the other one? Help me.
Diaz.
Luis.
Yeah, exactly. Diaz, who's hit the ground running, right? And again, Diaz was a player that I'd never heard about. Diaz until they bought him. I didn't watch that league. Some good players come out of the Portuguese league. They seem to settle quite well in the UK. So they've obviously done their homework. And the stats, man. I mean, you remember when I first started telling you about him, and all it was it was ages ago. It was before the January window, and someone just dropped me a DM and goes, I heard you talking about forwards. What about Darwin Nunez? And I was like, Darwin Nunez? So I sort of started doing my homework and looking him up, and I was like, wow, good stats, and started watching and keeping an eye on him and that. But I'm sure, as I said earlier, if we had the money on the hip to lay down for Vlahovic, which was around 70 million euros, then we could have had the money for Nunez because he was cheaper. So it tells me that they probably weren't quite convinced, thought he was maybe going to be a flash in the pan, but now Liverpool look like they're going to pounce. And Liverpool don't make many mistakes in players. They have. When was the last time they got a dud? They don't get duds much, do they?
I know, but I'm wary of these
They
things.
want from us.
A winning run is always
Probably,
like
the last
come
dud was
to an
probably
end.
Oxlade Chamberlain. No, I'm joking.
That's what I was saying.
I think a winning run is always likely to come to an end, and we can probably delve into this a bit more on Sunday with Dave. But Liverpool have bought well and sold really well over the last 5 or 6 years. We're just getting hopefully to the start of that cycle where we're starting to get over some really bad deals in the last 5 years and start buying. And yes, we have to sell a lot better, and we have to move players on. But Gary, Darwin Núñez looks like he might be a good one. But listen, I'm going to say they're keeping James Milner and they're keeping Henderson. And for me, I think that's a big mistake.
And he's Uruguayan, right? He's not Portuguese.
Yeah, he's Uruguayan, but
again,
would be Portuguese.
Uruguayans, man, like they got some good fire, ain't they? Tevez. If you think of some of the Uruguayans that have, done all right. They got a bit of an attitude. I like that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've seen bits and pieces of him. It looks really good. He still looks. I think he's still raw, right? He's still not a finished product. There's still some work to do there, right?
Old.
So they don't need him to be that good right now. And they're gonna have. He's got. Think about all the things he's gonna have working around him, right? Right. I mean, he's gonna. That's what makes it easier for these players, right? He's on the cusp. That's why, a Foden doesn't have to do too much, but is still considered one of the best young players in the league, right? Saka does everything. And
by the way, I think Saka should have been funded.
Can't get a sniff for that, and I think that's because that's why a Núñez is worth so much, right? It's because you put him in a good system. He's just only going to he's doing all the things that he was doing in the Champions League. If you're watching, right, it's not with the same quality of player or players around him, right? He's going to a team who considered number 2 or 3 in the world. So so. Yeah, it's got to be nice, and they don't have to play him all the time, right? They can actually sit him in
healthy competition as well to keep him on his toes.
Yeah, no. So he might take a step back in importance to the team, but it's all for the better because they're getting old anyway. So if he's ready to go, he'll play. But if he doesn't, there's no rush. So, Haaland, same thing, right? They've been winning without him. If he gives them anything that he's been showing in the past, and he doesn't have to play as much, it'll be really good for them, right? These young players, right?
Could you apply the same thing to us, Gary? We've been pretty much playing with 9 players in our first team all season. If we get anything from our midfielders or a striker, it should push us up into.
That's why I don't. It doesn't have to be the best player out there for me. It just has to be better than what we've had.
We need a clinical.
And it's not that hard to get better than what we've had, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we got 9 goals out of our 3 strikers. I mean,
all season
or 13, whatever the number is. But 13 out of 3 players is not going to get the job done for a whole season. So you get one player you bring in who can get you 10, you're laughing, right? And then if Nketiah does what he did last time and has the spot games where he brings in 4 or 5 goals, then you're better than where you were, if not the same. But now you've got somebody who can only improve.
Not good enough. You need to. Yeah. You need to.
No, I get that, but we didn't really have 2 last season.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow the job got done.
So, Tony, what's your thoughts on Darwin Núñez, Liverpool? You bring a new player in. Listen, he's got quality. As Gary's saying, he should fit in. He should score goals. But you never know. We thought Lukaku would do well, right? But you just never know.
You never know, but looking at the player, seeing his progression, I think he's a quality player. They're linked to all kinds of attackers. That's why I think I'll get rid of Salah and Mane. They're both late 20s. I think both of them are gone.
I think they were willing to spend money on Mo Salah, but they weren't willing to do the same for Mane. And they're going
to get $40 million for him, so they can go spend it.
Yeah, well, right now, Bayern Munich are the potential suitors for Sadio Mane.
The potential, they're the shooters, right?
Diaz is a case in point as to why Núñez will be fine. Jota, same thing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
he'll be fine.
You know what? I think if Chamberlain was healthy, they would have gotten what they wanted out of him. He just could never stay healthy for them. So he never even got enough opportunities to maybe even show what he could have done. If it, we seem to be always on the trainer's table, right? So it was a good for us, but they didn't get what they wanted out of him. But they're so deep, it doesn't matter.
He's still a good player, just like you said. The injuries held him back.
Mm-hmm. Alonso, any thoughts on Darwin Núñez? And then I want to ask everyone the question. I'll start with Stan. The question will be, who's going to score more, Núñez or Haaland? So think about that, everyone. Alonso, what's your thoughts on Darwin?
Yeah, I mean, he was made available last winter, I believe, and we wasted all that time to try to get Village from Fiorentina at the time, and we wasted all that time on him instead of going from Núñez to Núñez, right? So
Darwin Núñez, Darren Noon.
Daza.
Getting tongue-tied, but I think, again, we wait until last minute and we come up with nothing. That's what I'm afraid of what happened this time around. Just like we're waiting for our targets, but then either they sign elsewhere or the other doesn't get done. And we settle for someone who's unknown, and we're back to square one again. So, again, we didn't sign him, and he's out to our rivals and probably going to win a trophy or two in his time at Liverpool. So it's an opportunity wasted again on our part, on Arsenal's part, and we have to learn from our mistakes. And unfortunately, it's going to head that. I have a feeling it's going to head that road again, down that road again. So,
right.
Yeah.
What scares me for Arsenal is City and Liverpool are miles ahead, right? But they've got Haaland and Núñez is going to kind of come in for Liverpool. We know that team down the road have two pretty good players who can get them goals. I'm looking at the landscape and I'm thinking we need to get a Jesus, and we do need to get another striker as well as Nketiah, because we just can't live with the kind of firepower that's going to be in the top six moving forward. BX Gunner says, who's getting Lewandowski because Barca don't have the money? Good question.
Yeah. He doesn't want to continue where he is, does he?
No, he's saying some very uncomplimentary things.
How old is he now?
29, 30.
Really? He's not 30 yet?
I thought is he not?
I thought he was over 30.
I thought he was one of the older ones.
I thought it was like 33.
I thought he was right at 31.
I thought it was like 40.
Okay. I stand corrected. Stan, who's going to score more goals? Erling Haaland or...
Well,
he'll be 34 when the season starts.
Jeez.
Wow.
Still worth a punt, though. Still worth a punt. BX Gunner has got 34 as well.
I think he goes to Barcelona. They figure it out.
Go to MLS or Saudi Arabia and get loads of money.
Loads and
no, he should get a trophy with a football on it. You know what I mean? He should.
BX Gunner says if Jesus announced by Monday, it's not happening. LOL. Tony, that January window debacle on the premise that we'll spend in the summer is foolhardy at best, but give the manager a new contract to keep him sweet. So, Stan, Haaland or Núñez?
Well, in anticipation to a question, but before I go on to that, I would say that I've already found a song for Jesus when he joins us. And obviously, we just got to sing something along the melody of "Hey Jude" by the Beatles, and it could just go "Hey Zeus," and then whatever. Someone comes up with the rest, but there you go. There's the template. Get to work. So
we have to put Nketiah into the equation, apparently.
See, you know what? That was not. He was not allowed to assembled. I told you not to use what I was gonna say. I was gonna just spurt it out, and Nketiah will score more than both of them, and everybody will be, and all you get, we'll all be sitting there going, "Damn, he's worth 200K a week, right?"
Yeah, we So this is all buying Stan some time here. So Stan's going to get.
I'm ready to go.
I'm waiting for Stan to mention coaching badges.
Did you know that you were two men as a full UEFA? Just if you didn't, he has. But Darwin Núñez, I've got his stats up, and I don't know whether he has a full UEFA coaching badge, and that's a Núñez. But his first real season was the 2020-21 season, and he played 29 matches for Benfica, and he scored 6 goals and got 9 assists.
Yep.
But then the following season, one just gone, in 28 matches, he scored
Crazy.
26 goals
Yeah.
and 4 assists.
Yeah.
And in the Champions League as well, he got in 10 matches, he got 6 goals. Doesn't say about assists for some reason. Not bad stats, but I think for me, Erling Haaland, this guy's a machine. The guy's literally a cyborg. His first season was the 2019-2020 season that they've got here, starting with Dortmund. 15 matches, 13 goals, 2 assists. The next season, 28 matches, 27 goals, 6 assists. And in the season just gone, 24 matches, 22 goals, 7 assists. I mean, that doesn't even go into, some of the goals that he scored. I mean, didn't he score like a hat trick in the Champions League on his debut? There was one international game where he scored 9 goals for Norway. I mean, this guy is something else, and you put him in a Man City team. Hopefully, they play to his strengths. I mean, even though they went without a striker for the most of last season, and they had Jesus playing out wide and would go with Sterling in the middle or Foden or someone else, before Aguero left, Aguero was banging them in, and Aguero was a good player. So if they're going to slot Erling Haaland in, he's going to clean up for me. I don't see him not being able to fit in. I don't see him having a problem moving to another country. He seems to be really level-headed and seems to be very focused on what it is that he wants. So I think that he's going to be exciting to watch him in the Premier League next season.
Yeah. The whole question really is...
And I'm going to hate it when we have to play against him.
How Pep is going to use Haaland. It sounds like a ridiculous question, right, Gary? But I have to ask, do we have a confidence that
but he can't play 30 games in a season, so you know what? He's crap. So there you go. What we just said about Tierney, right? Can't play 30 games in a season is crap. Nah. You know what? It's what he does with his time that's most important, though, right? I mean, they won't have to play him enough, but when they do play him, he's going to score goals, right? So he doesn't waste a trip, as they say. He definitely puts his time in, puts his work in.
As you say, Gary.
Just even going further back, right? When he was playing for RB Salzburg, in Austria, 28 in 2019, he played 2 games and scored a goal. The following season, he played 14 matches and scored 16 goals.
Yeah.
He always seems to score more goals than there are matches. I mean,
I don't know how Pep and Zlatan got on. I don't know how this story went. Did it end well? Did it go well? This reminds me of Pep and Zlatan, says BX Gunner. So let us know if that went well or went bad. Nice plug, Gary. You worked in the DWTT there.
No. Like I said, I mean, if what they say is true about Foden, and now they've got Haaland, they just got 2 of the best young talents out there, right? So it should be.
It should throw Grealish in there too, right?
Well, and if Grealish is finally ready to play Pep ball, it's all damn. That's all I'm going to say is damn, right? I mean, that's the rich get richer, and that's not even that potentially could be not even their starters if they thought of it. They didn't, they don't have to start them, and they won't lose much, right? Based on how they've been playing.
Went bad with Pep and Zlatan. Went bad. I would say Zlatan might be a similar personality to Haaland.
Yeah, Haaland has it. He looks like he definitely has a. We talk about Richarlison and how he is. He has a little bit of that in him, right? It seems. But he scores goals. So everybody's happy with it. The trick is like Aubameyang, he stopped scoring goals. He's not the same guy anymore. What happens if that were to happen to him? Because he's gonna have. I assume he's gonna have growing pains when he gets to City, or city pains as they call it. Right? He's not going to be Aguero, right? The first year he's there, right? Mm-hmm. So it's going to take him a bit of time to acclimate to exactly what Pep wants, right? he might still score the goals that he wants, but he might take a dip just because he needs to figure out what he needs to do in this new system. So, yeah, he'll be fine. It just we may not see the true him this year, and that's fine. But
this is kind of why I'm asking the question as well, because you don't know how Pep's going to use it.
Haven't heard a solid answer yet.
I said Eddie's going to score more goals. So then, what more do we need to talk about after that?
Richarlison is not the answer. I mean, in the 5 seasons he's been at Everton, he's always played more than 30 matches. He's never scored more than 13 goals. Yeah. He's played 30 matches, 34, 36, 35, and he scored 10, 7, 13, 13. Yeah. Never more than 5 assists. It's just I don't see it as what we're looking for, man. To me, just looking at the amount of games and what he's put out, that's lower than that's Lacazette or maybe just below, almost Lacazette. And we're supposed to be improving on Giroud.
Yeah, but this is a player who played in a struggling Everton team. You would have to think his numbers would be better.
Well, I only brought his name up because of the attitude more than anything.
Yeah. We were talking about. Did you pick Haaland then, Gary?
I think Haaland would score more goals.
Yeah.
It won't be it won't be high like you think. Yeah, Tony never answers the question. Look at him.
Well, I'm going to go to Tony next.
He's a little chatty in the chat box. But look at
him. Henry never had attitude. He had arrogance. There's a difference. It was an arrogance thing.
But you need somebody who's
he wasn't a dirty player. Do you know what I mean? He just was arrogant a little bit about it. His posture, his charisma.
Yeah.
He believed in his career. Jimi Hendrix, right? Jimi Hendrix didn't have to read the notes when he played the guitar. He didn't play and read. It just happened all as one. It just happened.
Yeah.
The same with Henry.
Well, that's because and that's when you're in tune with everything going on with the game, right? Yeah, I mean, that's why footballers shouldn't be thinking on the pitch. If they're thinking on the pitch, guess what? They're one step behind. It just, you know what? You do something, I'm going to either respond or I'm going to make you have to react to whatever I'm doing. I mean, these players have been doing that for years. Now they come to Arsenal and it's like they're thinking about playing football. It's like, nah, you can't be doing that because the other team's going to tell you. The defense always dictates what you need to do, and you should already have the answers by then.
So, on the face of it, you think Haaland versus Nunez. But there's variables, right, Tony? We don't know how Pep is going to use Haaland. We don't know if Haaland's going to transition well. We think maybe Darwin Núñez would transition better to Liverpool. So,
why do we? Who says that and why?
I would think that Núñez would fit into Liverpool's style easier and better than Haaland would to Manchester City.
Why? On what basis?
We've seen Grealish, right? Grealish came in and didn't fit in for a full season. Diaz came in and fit into Liverpool.
I think the difference is with Grealish. I don't know if Man City really wanted to buy him. For me, it kind of felt like we're going to buy a marquee player and it's going to be Harry Kane. And then that all kind of fell through. And it's like, well, we need to spend 100 million on somebody now. We need to. So if it ain't going to be Harry Kane, who is it? Oh, Jack Grealish. Do you know what I mean? There was something about that buy that didn't kind of feel like they were really like Jack Grealish was like who they had been honed in on for a long time, and it seemed like it was just to fill a hole that they couldn't get Harry Kane to fill. So they got another English guy.
Yeah, exactly. And they had the luxury of doing that.
I'm not even sure Gareth Southgate fancies Grealish that much, to be honest with
you. Yeah. That's where I'm coming from. Gonna go downstairs. I'll go to Alonso first, Tony, if you don't mind.
Yes, me. Then Stan butts in. Then Alonso comes in.
He doesn't like you, Tony.
Hang on.
Have you figured this out already, Tony? Tony, you're like here, and everybody else is up here. Like,
hang on.
We don't know how long Alonso might drop out again. Alonso's connection.
It's a bit rich that Tony's got the that I interrupted him.
What's up, Alonso?
It's a bit rich, isn't it? Fucking hell.
So,
welcome to my world, Tony.
Alonso, yeah.
So, it's a tough question because you got to ask yourself what team is suited for your style of play, right?
Yeah.
To me, it's a hard question to answer because Liverpool play more of a German style football, whereas Man City plays Spanish type of football. And you could say that, well, Will Hoagland went to Liverpool and Nunez went to Manchester City. I think they would complement that style of football better for their opposite clubs. But I think that the team is more fitted for Hoagland's play more so than Nunez is fit for Liverpool's play. That being said, I think Hoagland is going to get more goals for Man City than what Nunez to get to Liverpool. That being said, I think Nunez is one more playmaker for Liverpool.
So who'll score more goals?
Hoagland.
Haaland will score more goals. Okay. All right. We got 3 Haalands, Tony.
Oh, we got one fucking Nunez because I like Pop's rock and roll football. I think Nunez fits right in there. I think he'll feature more, play more. I think Haaland will be slower to adapt to the Premier League than Nunez. I'm going Nunez. I'm going to answer your question and not beat around the bush like the other 3.
What is up with that?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's like it's taking digs at us, man.
Major diss, yeah.
Just because your dictionary, just because your vocabulary is this small, doesn't mean we should
I
just
have
stop.
a very big vocabulary, but we need to give a fucking show a run.
Over. Get the show over.
You got anything else to say, Ray?
I already said he went with Nunez. Moving on.
Yeah, I think I would go with Nunez as well, myself.
See, me and Ray answer the questions. We're just like, boom. There you go.
See how that works?
No.
We want to hear about coaching badges some more, Stan.
Sorry.
Coaching badges?
Yeah.
The only players.
Yuri Tillmans, he's got full UEFA ones.
What?
Yeah.
You don't say.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Serious business.
That's crazy. That's great. It'd be a good play to pick up. Be nice to pick him up tomorrow, right?
Can he replace Arteta?
He's got the skills, right?
Okay, so staying with Liverpool a second. We're gonna finish this up very soon. We'll take a couple of questions. I've dropped the link in here if anyone's come in and say hello for the backstage pass. I actually have a little bit of theory about Liverpool. I think that they are, while they're getting Darwin Núñez in, I think they're making some mistakes in midfield. I mentioned earlier they're going to keep James Milner. They're going to keep Jordan Henderson. Is that blocking their progress in terms of continuing to be the second best team, if not the best team in England?
They'll still bring in some younger players, I assume.
Yeah, but those are squad positions. James Milner, he's not going to play very much. And Jordan Henderson, who's not playing, he's not the player he used to be. And that's holding back.
Come in and do a solid job, Ray.
That's holding back something they could do in midfield, Alonso.
I think, they keep around because of their leaders. Their captain and vice captain. And it's important to have. It's something that we don't have at Arsenal. So I don't mind, as a fan, as outside looking in, as an outsider, I don't mind them keeping Henderson and Ramner because they're legends, if you think about it. And I don't mind that at all. I think it's fair play to them. I think they deserve to stay there as long as they can and as long as they're able. So, like I said, it's something that as this current Arsenal team has, we don't have. So, yeah, I mean, I don't mind that at all.
Is this a little bit, I get what you're saying, Alonso. Maybe this is a little bit like they have to spend a lot of money to get Núñez in. They're going to get some money back from Mane, but they're not going to be able to spend much more money in midfield. So This is kind of like they can't spend any money in midfield, but they have to get that star striker.
I think Bayern have put a bid in for Mane, right? And I've had it rejected. I think they put in a bid of
Low ball like 25.
25.
Mhm.
Liverpool want something like 42 point something,
Yeah, they
something
want
or
around
other.
40.
Do you
Yeah.
think there's a chance though that if Bayern want Mane that much, and obviously Gnabry doesn't want to sign, can you see? Because as I said earlier, you know, all these players leaving for free,
I don't think
loans
they'll-
with options
I don't
to
think they'll do
buy.
a swap deal.
Do you think there could be Gnabry could be used as a make weight for Mane?
No.
No, I
Why?
think
Why
that
not?
I think that the owners of Liverpool will want to recoup some of that Nunez money.
But if they got Gnabry, they would gladly
Yeah.
take him, right?
Yeah, but you're still spending upward of 100 million or whatever it's going to be on Nunez then.
That's not
Yeah,
the way
but
that
you-
ownership group works across all.
But if you
regions.
got Gnabry, you'll take the hit, though, right?
Yeah, if
I don't know if their owners will do that.
Mane wants to leave, he doesn't want to re-sign. You're thinking, well, I'm going to, I'm going to get next to bucking buttons for him. Oh, we can get a player that plays in the same position, is a younger model, and produces the same kind of ratio. I mean, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? And you got Gnabry.
I think-
thinking, I'm leaving one team that could win the Champions League to another team that's got even better chance of winning.
But
the
I
Champions
think,
League.
Stan, they're doing that with Darwin. I think they're bringing a better, younger player in with a player who's leaving. And they're going to spend net probably 40,
Oh, well,
45.
you think Nunes is the replacement for Mane?
Absolutely, yeah.
I think he's Salah as a replacement.
I think isn't Nunes more through the middle though?
Yeah, but Liverpool don't. Liverpool
So what?
play very
How
fluid
they-
forward.
So you'd have
Fine.
what? Because how would you have it set up? You'd have Salah on the right. Is he Salah on the right?
Alan Wright, Nunez in the middle. Mane played through the
And
middle.
who on the left?
Diaz.
Yeah, that's pretty formidable,
Well,
isn't it? And then he can put. And he got Jota, who can go in there as well. You got Firmino,
Let's
if
just
he
say-
doesn't go.
I think they scored something like 90 goals or something crazy like that. They'll definitely do that.
So Diaz would be the replacement for Mane then, right? Really?
Well, Mane,
Getting more
sometimes
game
Mane
time.
played through the middle a lot of games. So whenever
he?
Diaz was playing,
Did he?
Mane was
Okay.
through the middle. Yeah. Nunez replaces Firmino, says BX Gutter.
I assume they have I assume they have answers for their midfield, right? We don't think Klopp.
Yeah, they definitely have Fabinho. They have Keda in there. They got Thiago. They've got a strong first choice midfield, but if you have an
Minamino.
injury or two, Gary, they're going to struggle.
Minamino.
Minamino's
Yeah,
gonna
but I
probably
mean
control-
they've shown that they can make the
Minamino.
right adjustments in the January window if need be, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's you use every window to your benefit when you need it, right? So maybe they need it, maybe they don't.
And I think Liverpool are doing this in answer to Haaland coming in. They need more firepower. Obviously, Mane is leaving as well. They have to do this. It just worries me. Not that I'm a Liverpool supporter, but I'm looking at what they're doing, and I think they're weakening their overall team to get a superstar in.
So you think keeping
They're getting
No,
old,
they're-
right? They have to get younger in some positions.
Hmm.
Can't do it
Yeah.
all at once. You need
What was your point, Gary?
He
What was
keeps-
your thought?
right. You keep saying we need leadership around. Why can't Liverpool need it?
I just think Liverpool need to beat City to a title, right? Again,
You think they lost the title because Milner and Henderson?
yes.
You think they did?
Yeah, you think Milner and Henderson are
No, you think
good players.
they missed out 1 point because of their two older statesmen. So
Yes.
what you think?
Yes.
I think
They
that's
missed out
I
'cause
think
they
that's harsh. I
gambled
don't
on
think so. I don't think so.
They lost games to Leicester. They drew to Brentford. Look at their games, and they had some poor
They
teams.
gambled on
I
the
don't think
league,
Milner
because
would
they
have
didn't
anything
think
to
they
do
were
with
gonna have
that,
a
but I
chance in the
definitely
Premier
could
League, right?
I can see Henderson maybe, but
Henderson definitely. Henderson cost them goals against Chelsea. I think they drew against Chelsea, and Henderson was fault for one or two of the goals.
I mean,
Um,
they've also asked him to play on the back line, so I think
Yeah.
in some respects, it's that's not, you're not going to get that from other players out there. But I mean, like I said, I would believe they have an answer for that, and that's why they're keeping them, maybe to make sure that maybe they're going to bring somebody else in. But yeah,
I mean,
it
they're right
sounds like yeah.
He assembled. I mean, they Liverpool are willing to use Trent Alexander-Arnold because he gives them so much going forward, and they're willing to deal with whatever deficiencies or whatever happens at the back, because you
Yeah.
do have Virgil van Dijk there to bail him out a lot of the time as well. Salah is bluffing; they won't call it. So I think we'll wrap it up there with final thoughts. And Tony, you were saying something a moment ago.
I can't remember.
Alonso, maybe Alonso will get back in here. There is a link.
Maybe
there.
Alonso will be backstage with us.
So let's get final thoughts. We'll start with Stan. You want to go ahead?
On what?
Your final thoughts to your outro.
About coaching badges, Stan.
Yeah,
Something
my final.
about
Yeah,
coaching badges.
my
Yeah.
final thought is that I think if you didn't know, I think it's very impressive that Yuri Tillemans has a UEFA full coaching A
I
badge.
can't believe you waited till the end of the show to bring that up. I mean,
I know. I was leaving the best till the end there.
Thanks.
Yeah.
A little surprise.
Wow.
So
I might even go all the way around and come back to Stan. That's so
Just in
good.
case he has anything new to bring
Yeah.
bring attention to us. So yeah.
In the 2 minutes from between now and the end of the show, Stan might have some breaking news on coaching badges.
I mean,
Gary?
Yeah, well, I guess he's kind of as you know, over here in the States, we've got had some craziness happening at one of the schools and stuff and churches. So I'm hoping those people get whatever they need to whatever healing powers they need to to recover from all that's been going on there. So that's one thing that's in my head right now. Also, the window is open tomorrow. Arsenal do get some work done. Yeah, get some work done tomorrow.
Arsenal got to work.
Yeah, let's get let's have a player or two in this time next week. We should be able to talk about the new players coming in.
Yep.
And, yeah, looking forward to seeing how that goes. And I think we are less than a month away. I think from preseason, which right we need to have. Arteta said he wants to have his players by then. Hey,
So
you got 30 minutes. You should be back from your vacation, right? Supposedly, everybody that's doing any work for Arsenal has been on vacation now because, nothing's going on. Now it's time to get back to work. So let's see what they do.
Rome wasn't built in one day, and I'm sure Arsenal won't sign.
They've been doing this since January. It can be. If you've been working since January, you can get it all done in a day. Yeah, been a lot of planning going on. They've been planning these last windows, 3 or 4 and 5 and 6 months out. They should be prepared to go.
Great show, and thank you, everyone, says Big Skinner. Thank you to you and everyone who comes here on the daily, on the twice a week. Come and watch and listen to us. Tony, your final thoughts as well.
Carrying on where Gary started at there. As much as we want to talk about sports and be happy and all that, we need to pay attention to what's going on, voice what's going on, force change. But as far as football, it's kind of disturbing. We're almost close to a month after the season. No really solid links on players that should be coming in. Even players like Turner, it should be official by now.
He's a head turner.
But here we are, still chasing Jesus, which other teams are after. Just seems like we don't have enough backup plans, second plans on who we're going to get. We need a lot of players, a lot of work to do. We should have all this figured out by now. We should at least know half the players that are coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, we seem like we're behind the ball. Preseason starts in less than a month.
Would be nice to get players in to go on tour, wherever the tour is and all of that, to have all of that down.
Yeah,
Yeah, you'd want
not kickable, and we're still waiting for something.
And
you want like 80% of your players in by.
I don't want to be contentious with Gary about this, but maybe we have to set a little date like we did last summer. A breaking
I told
point.
you we need to have two of our biggest
I agree with
biggest targets by the time we leave for the
US.
USA.
Yeah, I
And
agree with
two of
that.
our biggest. So like we're talking like off the
Yeah,
top
but-
three, two of them should already be in. Should be putting on their red shirts, ready
This
to
week
go on
we
the
should have
plane.
been announcing players.
Definitely.
Gary.
Definitely agree with that. Steve Denham said, "Great show, thanks, Steve." And I did not goad you about the X guy this time, so thank you.
You know what I
for
don't
that.
want to see happen is we don't bring a striker in before the season starts. Meanwhile, in pre-season, we've got Eddie and Ketia like knocking them in from all over the pitch, which I've seen them do before in pre-season.
Training,
And,
training,
And then
Fuck all
first
the rest of the
game
guys.
of the season, he's kicking balls into outer
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
wanna
Stan,
see
you're
that.
going to have the last word in 1 second. I think
Okay.
I know what you might say.
Coaching
Alonso?
badge.
Still there, Alonso?
You keep
3,
sticking
2, 1. Alonso. Alonso's been dodging me
Was
all.
that? Yeah, I'm here.
Uh,
Yeah.
I want to give you an opportunity to give us your last words before we leave. Alonso?
You want to talk to us, buddy?
Yeah, I think we should do business. Arsenal should be like Tony has said. We should do business. Season even ends. I think that we should have been linked to players right before January. I think we should have a set of players we should bring on, and yeah, I mean, that's all I got really.
Before I go to Stan, I just want to echo the comments from Gary and Tony about common sense prevailing in terms of the value of life. I think goes without saying, the value of life is more important than anything, and moves should be made, and things should be done in this country.
Yeah, but pro-life people aren't very pro-life, and
Yeah. Moves should be made and things should be done to back that up. And it's enough. It's enough. Tired of it. Every few days something happens.
Even the orange man wanted to change gun laws, but he was told he would lose, so he didn't
Yeah.
get anything passed.
Let's hope common sense prevails. And there's times in the year when you can have your voice heard. Stan, we're going to hear your voice now.
Yeah, before I just want to say, listen, I love coming on these shows on Thursdays, sometimes on the odd Sunday. I love chatting to you guys, but at the end of the day, not a single one of you has a full UEFA coaching A badge. However, young Yuri Tielemans at the tender age of 25 does. So on that note, say goodnight, Tony.
Good night, Tony.
Say goodnight, Tony. All right.
Tony?
Thanks, Dan. Thanks,
Is it Tony or Tony? What did you say there, right?
Thanks, Alonso. Thanks, Tony. Tony.
Yeah, everybody in the
Everyone.
chat, thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
Definitely enjoyed it. Yeah.
Everyone is sleeping. I work at 7, going to bed sadly, but next time for sure. Grab the link. It's back there in the chat a little bit if anyone wants to come and say hello. Room for improvement. Arsenal definitely have a lot of room for improvement. Hopefully we can improve on our position. That's what it's all about, being better every year. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Come on, you Gunners. And Arsenal, get to work.
But no,